When the lights and camera turn off, I will be here. When the interest and conversation fade, I will be here. When there's no one around, a father will do anything it takes to be there for his son, to protect his family.
Without these special people behind me, I wouldn't have a search. Hello, everyone. Dave Robinson here, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. Just wanted to tell you, thank you all for those who are joining in here on the live with me this evening. I decided I would do one today. I needed to get out a lot of information. First, I want to start off like I always would say, thank you again, and also let you know that I am trying to answer some questions. Then we'll do a little bit of Q&A today, something I haven't done in a long, long time. I think it's very crucial at this point, and this part of Daniel's case of his story is to be able to answer some of these questions that many people may have. So the way I want to start off this thing is say, hey, look, you guys, if you have any questions, I apologize for those who may be in the Instagram side. If you have a question on the Instagram side, I believe I can see your questions come up on the screen, but I won't be able to display it here on the live. But if you're on the Facebook, on Twitter, YouTube, things like that, I put it up on the screen. But if you're in the comment section of those platforms, please, in the comment section, and also with Instagram, in the comment section, put the capital letter Q there, a big giant question mark, or the word question before you ask your question. That way I can know which one are questions and some of the other comments that come up on the chat. So again, I want to answer a lot of questions today. I want to put out some information that's currently happening in Daniel's case. Give you guys some updates. I guess you guys have seen the new Fox America's Most Wanted Missing Persons. Daniel's story is featured there. I'm really grateful for Fox and also America's Most Wanted, Mr. Payne, also to go out there in that desert and do some filming and things like that. At the same time, you guys, I want to make sure that I put out some information that you guys need to know. You guys know I had a search that went on April the 12th. There are some things that should have been highlighted. I said it before. I want to highlight those today as well. So again, if you have any questions, I will be seeing your questions here on, like I said, if you're on Instagram right now, I will see your questions, but I won't be able to put it on the screen. But if you're on the other platforms, I will be able to post it on the screen. So again, put the capital letter Q before your question, or the word question before your question, or a question mark before your question. That way I can actually come down a timeline and I can see which ones are questions or which one things are comments. So I would try to put both on the screen, but I want to make sure I'm focusing on the questions. But before I get into these Q&A sessions, I want to talk about the upcoming Candlelight Vigil. Again, you guys, I had these search, but now I'm trying to move forward towards a Candlelight Vigil. Daniel, he would be missing 4 years, you guys. June 23rd of this year, 2025. And, that highlights 4 years that my son has been missing. You can see on the bottom of the screen, I have a proposed date for June the 28th, and that will be on that weekend. And the reason why, you guys, first of all, because it's on the weekend. The second thing is to give my time for my family and I to reflect on this day. It's very hard. If it end up being 5 years, that's even more difficult. Some people call that like a milestone type thing. But I really need that moment. But at the same time, I want to make sure I'm putting something there to talk about my son's case, to keep his case out there alive and well. To be able to do that, saying the Candlelight Vigil is very important for that. Also, because of the persons that we are, the family that we are, and who we are as people, I had to also make sure we're sharing this event to make sure that I'm highlighting other missing American cases. I already have one family who was wanting to join in and come out there to Arizona to be a part of this Candlelight Vigil. I'm looking for many more. So if you're listening right now, you have a missing loved one story that need to be told. There's several ways you can do it. You go on the website, and I will show you guys that as well today. Go on the website, sign up. If you can't even make it to Arizona, what I would like for you to do, and I'll talk to each one of you that sign up. If you need to send information out, we can try to make sure we're definitely speaking about your loved one at this event. But those who actually can show up there, you have that information as well. We will have resource tables out there for you. We have, just information that need to be there. And also we have officials like law enforcement. I'm looking to have some of the elected officials as well, the state officials and government, U.S. government officials as well. As you guys know, I'm running for Congress, so I can play both sides of that hat at the same time too. So again, you guys, I really need this Candlelight Vigil to happen, and so that's why I'm reaching out today as well to talk about that and how you guys can help by going to the website and also other avenues. Again, thank you so much, everybody who's joining in. I just see so many people already on the Instagram side. Just look at the screen. I want to pop the screen up real quick, and then I'll pop it back off. But I want to show you guys. I can actually see you there on the Instagram. If you're there on Instagram, I can see you. But again, I can't not put your questions, your comments on the page. But I see Mrs. Daphne. I think you said, how can we watch if we miss it? Well, if you missed the Candlelight Vigil, I believe you're asking about, or you're asking for the live. The live streams always be on Facebook. You can replay it. You can do it on the YouTube. Please Help Find Daniel YouTube channel. Please Help Find Daniel Facebook. You also could do it. Please help find number 4 on Twitter. It's X, formerly known as Twitter, but X. Those are the ways that you can watch it again. But if you're speaking about the Candlelight Vigil, I am planning to try to have that like I did before when I had a day of remembrance. If you guys remember back in, I think it was 2022, when I had that event out there in Phoenix, and we was able to record a lot of that. So again, you could be able to do that. And I think thank Gisela K from Grizzly True Crime, who was a big champion of that as well, helping people there to record for me and things like that. And so again, it'll be the same way. You guys see on the bottom of the screen, America's Son. I call it America's Son, kind of like visual, because I call my son America's Son, because what happened to my family, what happened to Daniel, this happens every day in this country. And I will give you also statistics about that as well, because it's very important. I cannot leave this live without speaking about those statistics and things that's happening, even this year, what's happened last year, and things like that. So what's maybe happening in your state, and not maybe, because it is happening in every state in this country. And I just want to highlight those things that's a problematic to me as a person who really care about missing American cases, the crisis that we have in this country, and want to be able to treat it as such. So again, let me go in the comment section real quick. I'm gonna get a few people, then I'm going to what I came in today. I want to say thank you, Lady Red, for being here this afternoon. Also, Angie, baby, thank you so much for being here. OG London, thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate you as well. And also Francis Leo, thank you, Francine Leo, thanks so much for being here. And thank you for putting the comment there. I really appreciate that. I've been following since Daniel went missing, praying you find him. Thank you so much for your prayers. Also, thank you for your prayers too, Angie, baby. I really appreciate it. God bless both of you guys. And let's see, I was seeing the comment in the Instagram, but so I'm just going to jump into something real quick. And I want to talk about, first of all, if I can throw this on the screen real quick, I want to make sure that we're knowing what's happening in our country. So I'm going to put some this here for you guys. And this is the annual report that I have for 2024 from the FBI's National Crime, the NCIC, National Crime Information Center. It recorded that we had 533,936 missing Americans entries, you guys, last year in 2024. Of these, 93,447 cases are still active. These people have not been found yet, and we still need to find out Americans out there. Also, we have children. Approximately 460,000 American children are reported missing each year in the United States. So I'm telling you guys, and this is happening every day. This is an everyday event. Also, the resolution, of course, the vast majority of missing American cases are resolved relatively quick. For instance, in 2021, there was over 485,000 of the 521,705 reported cases were resolved within the same year. Now, I wanted to make sure that we highlight as well when I say all of this is that we also can note that a lot of these cases are people that was actually found deceased or, some other conditions and things like that. But we do have a bigger amount of people who have been found safe and sound. So we can thank God for those. But there's always a remaining number out there, a big remaining number of people that never been found. There's so many unidentified bodies as well. If you look down at the breakdown of the demographics by age in 2024, juveniles under the age of 18 accounted for approximately 67% of missing American. I like to say missing American, you guys, missing American entries in the NCIC. And the high percentage reflects the vulnerability of children and teenagers to factors such as runaways, abduction, and or becoming lost. By race, the NCIC's 224 report provides the following breakdown by race. White Americans, approximately 61%, that's 61.3% of missing person entries. Black Americans, approximately 34%, 34 to 35% of reported entries. Asians, approximately 2.1%. American Indians and Native Americans, approximately 2%. These figures indicate the disproportionate representation of Black Americans and individuals also, among missing Americans relative to the percentage of the U.S. population. By gender, you guys, we have over 50% of male, 50% female with missing, and about equal in 2024. If we go down again and we go to the next screen here, you guys, and this is the last point I'm going to make before I finish this one, is indigenous. We don't talk about our indigenous Americans, our indigenous populations, especially like in Arizona, states like Arizona, California, and some of these other states where we have a high number, disproportionate number of rate of our indigenous community of people going missing. In 2024, over 10,000 American Indians and Alaskans, natives, individuals were reported missing, with 1,540 cases remaining active at the end of the year. So, I mean, this is big. This is big, you guys. Like I said, again, that is a lot to consider, especially when you're a person like me. I really, like I said, I have to be passionate about it. I have a missing son. He's part of that statistic. He's part of that number. And, you cannot be human if you don't really pay attention to these things and try to do something, anything you can. Everybody have a little part of this. Every little thing we do can mean a lot to another family. It can mean a lot to this whole missing American crisis that we have. And it is a crisis. Whether we want to call it Congress, whoever don't want to call it that, but that's exactly what it is. It's a crisis. We have an opioid crisis. We have a missing American crisis. We have these crises that need to be taken care of. Also, thank you, Niana. Thanks so much for being here at the point where his car was located. And if you put a drone out for 20 miles in Izzy, he may be found. Yeah, we had drones out there in my searches I did. And, you guys, I'll tell you that search I had on April the 12th, it marked the 50th search, you guys. And I really thank God for all the people who came out. I think our numbers, if I get this correct, the secretary, one of my secretary was able to get those numbers. I think it was roughly 60 some people counting that showed up. You get the numbers from the news media that came out, it says closer to 80. But we had all these people come out to the search to help me do those line searches and other searches. It's amazing to say that was the 50th search out there. You got 50, and to be able to have people to still come out and care about my son and care about trying to find him. That is very meaningful to me, and I really appreciate each and every last one of you that have come out there since I've started the search for Daniel. And that's not even counting, that's just the numbers we count for the public search. There's been other searches as well. I had the specialized search, I had the city search, you name it. And we have people come out for those, and they're not even part of those numbers. So again, when I say the numbers, that we kept count how many weeks and things. So there's a lot of search efforts out there for my son so far. And for those who say, well, why are you out in the desert so long and still being able to search? If you go out there, like you guys will see on that America's Most Wanted skit, a part of that that they put together, you see what I said. It's very intimidating out there. Those who come out there to search, and if they was right here right now talking to you guys, they will tell you as well. Very intimidating. You can see why with something like that would take 50 weeks of searches, especially the kind of searches we have been doing, line searches. That's very important. And the reason why we know line searches is the best searches for the desert is because we found human remains out there. Bring closure for other families. No, I'm gonna tell you what law enforcement found out there. All the searches they have say they've done. No, I'm gonna tell you what they found. Nothing. When I say nothing, I literally mean nothing. Again, I'd like to say it facetiously, they couldn't even find any on hands in their faces. But we are regular Americans found human remains. I was able to solve a case for the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, finding a stolen car they were looking for a length of time. It comes from line searches. It comes from what we were doing. So I'm saying, so someone say, hey, why are you doing those line searches? Because it's needed. Those line searches find human remains. That's the only way he's going to do it. I'm not looking for out there in that desert looking for Daniel running around butt naked, as the scene suggests, with no clothes on his body. Here it is in 2025. He's running around there, and we can find him. No, we're looking for his remains. If he's out there, God forbid if he is, I don't want him there. But if he is, that's exactly what we're looking for. So of course, it would take those line searches. That's very important. So again, thank you guys for being here. Let's see who else I'm missing. Anyone here before I jump on what I'm going to go next? But again, if you guys have any questions, I'm using a lot of this time as a Q&A as well. So you guys can ask those questions if you have those. And let's see here. I wish I can put that on the screen. Thank you, Brandon. I really appreciate it. Say new follower here, keeping the vibes positive and praying for your family. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that, Brandon. That's on the Instagram side, everyone. One thing I want to point out too, since you said that, Brandon, you was the first time a newcomer. I want to tell you, my son, I'm gonna give you a little thing. I'm not going through the whole case scenario because you guys can go to the YouTube channel. Please help find Dan. You can see all these videos that I have been doing over the years. You can learn a lot about Daniel's case. You can Google and all the stuff, and you can find a lot. But what I can say, my son is a geologist. He's been born and raised here in Columbia, South Carolina. Graduated from high school, and of course went on to college. I don't want to skip ahead because I can tell you about his personality and things like that. But he went to college and majored in geology, something that he really, really felt passionate about in his freshman year. He graduated with honors. He decided to take his career out to Arizona. It's a desert state. It's a beautiful place for a person who's a geologist. He landed his first job in life with a company called Matrix New World, also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. Loved his job. Give him an opportunity again, like I said, to do his job. Also gave him an opportunity to be in Arizona, where he's actually had rock collections and things like that, and go out to Sedona and go hiking all the time with his sister. So he's in a place that he really loved. He even tried to get me to move to Arizona many times. And so he loved Arizona, but he's there and he's doing his job. What he does is for this company, Matrix New World. It's also called Matrix Southwest Groundwater. He's a hydrogeologist. They call him also a field geologist, where he go out into various locations all across Arizona to assess groundwater. His job is very important. They look at the sediments and things like that. And they know if these underground wells, or where you want to put it, water, can produce 100 years of water. If for a community that could be built, if they can produce 100 years of water and recharge itself after the 100 years, and it's all the science stuff that he does. So his job is very important. He loved that job. He was out on June the 23rd, got assignment to go to 2 well sites. One was both was west of Phoenix. One is like Verrado Way area. These 2 water areas are connected to each other. There's proposing to put during the time a big community out there called Terra Velis is the name of it. It changed. It was another name one time before, but to put a big smart city out there, because Buckeye, Arizona is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. Though South Carolina is the biggest, fastest growing state in the country, just that city itself, the Buckeye city, is the fastest growing in the country. And so they put this big community out there. There's a big, might as well say another city out there in this area. And his job was to assess the groundwater to see if there's enough water there to sustain this new community. By law in Arizona, again, these wells or these groundwaters have to, and everything. This is a desert state. Everything's reliant more on the groundwater. We do have the Colorado River and some other water sources, the canal that runs through there, but those groundwaters are very needed. His job is to assess those to make sure it can produce that 100 years of water. And if not, this community should not have been built, in which we already know hindsight now that it's not enough water there. So they had to redo things about water conservation and things like that to try to make it work anyway. But the thing is, what I will say is he went missing on June the 23rd after he went to meet one person. And I know at the media you guys hear they say co-worker. This guy is not his co-worker. He works for a different company called Weber Waterworks. His name is Ken. My son was out to go meet this guy out that he'd never met before at the second well site after he left the first well site. And the story is that once he got, he trying his best, and I can go through the scenarios where I doubt it's 2 ways you can look at this. He actually went out there, or he didn't. It's a lot of stories I can go into, but where I'm going to go is with the story that's put out there, and from Ken, from his perspective, and a little bit of mine too. But the thing is, he was told that he need to go meet this guy out there in that second well site off of this road called Sun Valley Parkway at the time. It's near this Cactus Road area, and to go into the Sonoran Desert. But what the story was from Ken, that my son met him out on the roadway. They had a brief conversation. My son followed him into that desert, 1 mile west, 2 miles north to get to this well site. And once they got there at 9 o'clock in the morning. And after a brief conversation lasted about 15 minutes, he says my son just waved off to him, hopped in his vehicle, never ever been seen again to this date. 30 days after he went waving off, he said, and went missing. It was reported that, of course, my son's vehicle, you can see it behind me, was found in a 20-foot ravine lying on the side. You probably can see the clothing here on the ground, and that clothing is supposed to be his safety vest and his pants. I mean, everything from underwear down to socks, 3 feet away from that vehicle, lying in that pile. So he's been missing since. The vehicle been recovered, his ID and wallet and all that kind of stuff has been recovered. His cell phones have been recovered. The cases of water that he didn't touch was recovered. So I mean, it's a lot, you guys, to the story. So if you want to learn more about that, you can look those things up. Again, I can say I have been out in Arizona for the 3 days after my son went missing. I drove out into Arizona from South Carolina, over 2,000 miles to, and the reason why I did that, you guys, I kind of lost it a little bit when law enforcement told me they weren't going to search for him. He's a grown man, can disappear if he wants to. So that pushed me to go out there and go find Daniel myself. So I've been, to give you a faster story there as well. I had started my own desert searches, my own investigation, and to my son's disappearance on day 1. The first person I investigated and talked to was Ken at the well site. I met him in the same location, the same spot where my son had met him first time, supposedly, allegedly. And so it started from there. My investigation, my search started after I realized I couldn't get in the desert to go rescue my own son. I started the desert searches for my son. And again, that lasted for now over 50 weeks of public searches. And we found human remains, bring close with other families to, you name it, getting all the results that we got so far. Everything we know about my son's case, you guys Google and say, oh, they had 11 additional miles on the vehicle. Or they had 46 initial cycles after the airbags deployed. There was red transfer paint on the vehicle. You know, all that information you got not zero, not one of those things you found out came from law enforcement. They didn't contribute anything to the discovery of anything about Daniels. The only thing they stand behind is to say, for whatever reason, wanting to be out in that vehicle was be out there for 30 days. Whatever they really wanted for whatever reason is to say that he ran off, join the monastery, become a monk, and do his own thing. Those type things. So every serious thing that we learned about Dan's case so far came from my own investigation. I hired a private investigator who was an accident reconstructionist as well, and so we got these informations from that we know about. You guys will Google and see came from my investigation. So again, thank you guys. That's just a brief run through of my son's story. But I want to jump in because I don't see any questions just yet. I checking with you guys to see if you have any questions and any comments that you like for me to answer for you. This is partially a Q&A. Again, I just wanted to go back and tell you guys why I'm here as well. Let me see, a couple things I want to do here is I want to put this on the bottom of the screen again, the Candlelight Vigil that I will be putting together for the 28th. And again, my son went missing on the 23rd, and it will be, I think I messed up something, but it'll be on the 23rd when he went missing, but the 28th is the date that I set to have the Candlelight Vigil. Again, to give my family time. I could call my family, we can have our little day to reflect. I may do something like a live here on that exact day as well, but to have a physical thing out in Arizona, I really pushing that for something different because I have other families that I want to highlight their cases. I want to bring resources. I want to do a whole lot of things, and that weekend would be the best time for families to be able to make it out there to the area that I will be telling you about shortly here. Again, you guys to join in, to help out, to learn about this search, to how you can participate. Again, it's going to be called, let's see if I can get this up here the right way. I think I put one of the screens on wrong. But American Son, Candlelight Vigil for Missing Americans in the memory of my son, Daniel Robinson. It'll be on June the 23rd. June the 20th. Well, he went missing on June the 23rd of 2021, but it'll be on June the 28th of 2025. I will have this Candlelight Vigil again to reflect about my son, to keep his story out there, to keep my son's case is far from a cold case, you guys. I want to make sure you're clear now. I know you guys heard that on America's Most Wanted missing persons about it should be reopened. There's so many contradictory things that law enforcement tell people. They'll say it's closed behind closed doors, and then at the same time, they'll say it's an active case whenever the media come knocking. So how those two things coexist, I can tell you guys that we have so much things that's lingering. And I'm going to talk about those real quick. I told you guys also I was going to give you guys an update in my son's case that should have been talked about when I did that search on April the 12th. These are the things I will be bringing up to you guys today before I finish, is to tell you those important points that was missed by media. The media look for that. It's more to me, and I'm not putting anybody down, but it's more of a sensationalizing of a case when they can take certain things that really promotes them to get more attention or advertisements and things like that. So that's the things that's going to stick the most to when you hear things off of media. So that's why I do my own lives. So you guys can hear the facts, the things that you need to hear that I think, especially as a father, as a person who loves my son, as a person who has a missing loved one, that's important. That should be out there in the public. And we have to sometimes tell it ourselves when those things get missed. And I'll tell you that's the reason why I get missed, and you can understand once I tell you. But again, American Son, Candlelight Vigil is going to be June 28th, 2025. My proposal place would be on the House and Senate lawn. I did that before the Day of Remembrance, you guys. You probably remember that. I was in Arizona with that event. It's the same event where I met Miss Nunez, Elisa Navarro's mother. I met Mr. Risto and some of these other families out there at that event. And, we brought a lot of resources for them. We had just a time where we actually could tell stories, our loved one's story, etc. And that's what I want to make sure that this platform is for that, for anybody who wanted to join in with their missing loved one and they want to be able to speak because we definitely have families speaking out there on the 28th to tell their loved one's story. We have media out there. We have law enforcement officials. We have the other resource tables like Missing Exploited Children, the Black and Miss Foundation. Hopefully, I'm going to reach out to them as well. But have these entities out there that will help. Also have elected officials like the state and senators there from South Carolina or from Arizona. I will be pushing to get them out there, as well as, like I say, law enforcement and some of the government officials as well. So I want these resources out there for this event. So that way, we're gonna make a big splash. You guys, you got to make a big splash and get some things to happen. Hopefully, some of those officials, the government officials. I'm running for Congress, you guys. So I want to make sure that's part of my congressional platform when I'm running. I'm already starting my campaign. I'm already an official candidate. You guys can go on the website. You can go look at them Ballotpedia. But I'm official candidate again for the second time. But what I'm saying is, I want to make sure that's part of my platform of talking about missing Americans. That's what I'm running for as well, is to find those legislations and things that can be done to help families and law enforcement find our missing. So information here, I'll glue it on House and Senate line in Arizona and Phoenix. And my proposed time would be 6 o'clock that evening. It's Candlelight Vigil, so we'll get closer to the darker time. So, like I said, I'm really putting these things together, but I need you guys' help to accomplish this. So I'll be talking about that as well. Now, I don't want to lose track of everything I'm telling you guys about. So let me go in this comment section one more time and see if I see any questions. And I can put those up on the screen. Some of the comments. Oh, yeah, I have a question here, and I really appreciate it. Let me see if I have one also on the Instagram side. But let's see here. Oh, yeah. Okay, I have a question here, and I'm going to jump on both. I saw with Instagram that I can't get on the screen. I would have one from Iris. I think that's Iris F19. What do you think happened to him? It's okay if you're not comfortable with sharing. And I'm going to try to see if I can just splash it up there real quick so everybody can see your comment. I don't know if you guys can read that, but it's, let's see if they make it big if I do it like that. You can see the comment there. We have 2 comments there. And the second will be, what can those of us who live nowhere near Arizona do to help? And those 2 things I will answer both of those from the Instagram side. So to answer that question, Iris, what I think happened is foul play. You can look at the scene right here behind me. You can see the vehicle line on the side. All the information that my private investigator found about the scene, contrary to what law enforcement have, their assessment is that my orientation, he kicked his way out of the sunroof. Let me start over. What law enforcement initially gave me, that the vehicle rolled. I'm gonna have to do it like his hands move. It flipped and rolled, and it landed on the side down the 20-foot ravine. It looks flat here, you guys. This is 20 feet down deep in this ravine, and fell on the side on the roll and twist and landed on the passenger side. And that how you put it was, the good news is, Mr. Robinson, that we don't believe he sustained any injuries because we didn't see any blood with our eyes now in the vehicle. Now, they didn't check it with luminol or whatever the stuff they used to look for blood, but they say with the eyes didn't see any blood. He didn't sustain any injury. But the good part is, he said he was wearing his seatbelt, right? And that, but at the same time, they say they believe he had a severe head injury, because they were trying to find a justification of this clothing sitting here on the ground. I'm sure he had a brain injury, right? He had a brain injury. He escaped out of his sunroof. He kicked out, because of the brain injury, he kicked out of the sunroof to escape. He got outside the vehicle. That's why, and then you guys probably remember at the scene, there's the crime scene here. There's some glass on the ground in a square shape during the time before everybody took souvenirs of it, but it used to be in a square shape originally. And he said that's the sunroof glass that he kicked out, and that's why glass on the ground. And once he got outside the vehicle, because he had the severe brain injury, he was confused. He got hot. He said, and then he went through the stream of telling me how a brain injury will make you feel really extremely hot. And that's why he took out his clothes. And that's why I was sitting here 3 feet away from the vehicle. He took his clothes off. And his initial story was that, and this was Detective Biffin at the time, he said he walked off and to go cool off under a tree somewhere. And he probably succumbed to his injury, and a wild animal got him, right? Because, they have mountain lions in this area. wild animal guy. That's what he say. But once I went, he had to go show me this vehicle. His story changed. And said he told me a story about some woman that they see. I've seen cases like this before. That's how he pretty much started off. And he said he saw this woman, and this woman. The family thought she was missing. They was looking for her, and turns out she joined a monastery. She not a monastery. She ended up becoming a nun. That's what he said. Then he said, well, not necessarily saying that about Daniel, but maybe he just wanted to be away from you guys and joined a monastery, became a monk. And so those are things, is the theory, what they feel like happened. But what I see at the scene, to answer your question, I see a crime. I know my son, and it's based on a lot of things. It's based on the fact that I was a single parent. It's based on the fact that I know my son. I've been in my son's life all his life. And if anybody have a good indication of the way my son thinks, despite of the fact that, again, law enforcement like to sensationalize my son's case, bringing up stories about this woman he's in love and irrelevant stuff, to try to make him like he's some type of stalker, to you name it. There's always villainization of the victim, especially when it comes to people of color. So the thing is, it was that kind of stuff to kind of it's looking for all the wrong things at the wrong places instead of looking out for what actually happened to my son. Those are things I had to hear initially from law enforcement in their approach towards this case. When the vehicle was found there, guys, you probably will hear that pretty soon. My conversation with Detective Biffin, when he told me the reason why he felt he didn't want to do any forensics on the scene. They just took pictures, grabbed my son's vehicle out of there, and was gone. They didn't see what I see. What I see as a person with common sense, first of all, and a father. What I see here is a crime. What I see is a crime. You think what I think? I see that my son went out to his job site. We had to hear a story from a man who said, my son, and there's a couple things that's key things to me. And not one time did law enforcement bring the guy in to verify his story. Then they look at his cell phone to check his cell phone pings to see he was in out there, or he was anywhere near this crash site. They didn't do anything to key into check and verify his story, but just took his word for anything. This guy said that my son met him at that well site, or met him out there on that road, followed him into that well site. They spoke for 15 minutes and he was gone. He said he was saying crazy stuff that he's saying. This man even said that he was looking at my son's eyes. My son, if you look at his eyes right now on the screen, he's a black male. We have dark eyes. We have nearly black eyes. Some people think it's black, but actually they're really dark brown. There's no such thing as black eyes, but there's dark brown, right? And he said that he was looking at my son's eyes to see if his pupils dilated. You would not see a black person's pupils dilated in the daylight. And I doubt my son was sitting there. He's holding my head back there. And he had his finger in my eye and has a flashlight in my son's eye, and he was allowing him to do that or something. That thing stood out to me. The other part is that the fact that he said my son was talking crazy, saying crazy things like he wanted to go back to Phoenix to rest and things like that. My son didn't even live in Phoenix. And that should have been one of the highlights for law enforcement. They didn't care. My son lived in Tempe when he went missing. Tempe is a city outside of Phoenix. And so why would my son be saying he's going to Phoenix to rest? He don't even live in Phoenix. So those type things. The fact that just other parts of the story I can tell you. So when it comes to this crime scene that I see, it starts off with that. The second part is my son. Like I say, I know him very good. If he didn't want to be at that job that day, he would have called in or something. He wouldn't have been there. He wouldn't come to a person to say, hey, I'm tired, want to go back to rest. Even if he said Tempe, he wouldn't have done that. He just wouldn't have came at all, right? He would have called it in if he's feeling that sleepy. The other part is law enforcement failed to tell you guys, and you guys will hear this pretty soon coming up, because I'm releasing all kinds of things that haven't previously been out in public, because I was waiting on law enforcement to do the right thing. They haven't done it for these many years now. If you look at his cell phone, before somebody, I ain't gonna say they, because I want to make it sound like I'm pointing the finger at someone, but before my son's phone was given back to me, when my son's phone was given back to me, it was missing this was straight from the detective's hand given to me. It was missing his memory card that I purchased for him. It was missing his everything. I mean, the search history. When I say search history, the history of him, wherever he was, like the Google history and things like that. That was all wiped off the phone. Everything about this young lady was wiped out the phone. Those text messages that they claiming that they're going back and forth from my son and this young lady was wiped out the phone, except her name and her phone number. And, you know, of course, a person that I am, a father I am, an investigator that I had to become, put on another hat. I was able to get those information from Google. I was able to get that information from the phone records and stuff that I will be showing you guys that. And I'm going to show you all the lies that law enforcement came up with. And it's sad to say I've seen part of that with my own investigator, who say he also on that video you guys will see American Most Wanted says that was my son's last text message. So I had to correct some of the stuff for my son for his sakes. So I'll be sharing a lot of that coming weeks. But what I'm saying is, you guys, if you look at the details of that, what I was giving you guys when it comes to my son's case, the text message didn't match, you know. So we're gonna go into that some other time, because we're talking about the scene. What I see at the scene is the crime scene that it is. It's lying on the side. Law enforcement, we want you guys to believe that there's a couple of things. I'm gonna move to my left here. If you look here under this vehicle right here, right? And they was claiming that the day my son went missing, that it was heavily raining. And you guys can see the rancher who found my son's vehicle right here was on America's Most Wanted missing persons. And he would tell you straight up, he's what he call it, cowboy knowledge. He would tell you straight up, being a person who's a 4th generation cattle rancher who just pretty much be out in the desert, who knows about the terrain. He knows about the way things are in the desert, the way things work. Any vehicle that's found in he said many things be found in the desert. When it's found out there, it's going to have desert dirt on it. If you guys look at this vehicle real well, one of the things that stood out to him was it was too clean. First of all, the wheels are clean, the vehicle clean, the windows clean. They have a dust on it. So it couldn't have been out there for 30 days. The second part is he mentioned, if you look on, I got to get my orientations right, you guys. If you look up under the vehicle, you see daylight up under there. That's a ravine. That's water runs under there when it rains. When water runs in the desert, you guys, for those who watching me right now, who's been out in the desert with me, you guys who did the line searches could tell you that when you go walking through the desert doing these line searches, every once in a while you'll see certain area with a pile of this. See this creosote bush right here. Right here, these things breaks off. It's almost like tumblewood weed, or whatever you call it. These things will break off, and when they go down ravines and they start building what we call is like a dam, and it would have been right up under here, would have clogged all that up. Water running down that ravine under that vehicle. A couple things it would have clogged that up, and it would be like that vehicle become like a dam. It would have held water up, and you know, things like that. You don't see any water marks there on these vehicle side here. I'm a science guy, you guys. The second thing is law enforcement wants you to believe is this window up here. If I can get orientation, this window up here. That's the only glass. And I'm gonna tell you this, guys, and I'm gonna tell you a couple things. This is the only glass in this entire vehicle that's missing, right? There's no glass right here where they claim Daniel kicked his way out of the sunroof, kicked the glass out, because there was no glass there. If you guys can look up a Jeep Renegade, they do not have sunroof glass. They have sunroof panels. And these panels, the only way you can get that panel off, you have to go out in the back of your vehicle, get a specialized key, and unlock it from the inside, and then the panels can come off. And you know, I know they feel like my son has superhuman strength and kicked his way out of this panel, but they say it's glass, and that's why they let me know that they haven't even do their due diligence to even care about the details of this case, and say they would have known it was a panel. And then the stupid part about it, if you guys remember on the other pictures, I could have showed you if I had time. That panel was sitting up under the vehicle along with Daniel's boots. The boot was sitting on the panel, and the vehicle was sitting on the boot. Like the brancher said, unless my son is a superhero, he would have to lift that vehicle up and stick his own boot up under the vehicle and let it back down. So it's a couple things like that. You got to ask yourself questions. The other part is, when I see the scene, you guys, the law enforcement told me as a family, that meant day one, you guys, without doing any investigation, without doing any forensics, the first thing they told me as a father, they said that they know the vehicle had to be out there for 30 days. They've been out there for 30 days. When Ken said it was missing, he went driving off from that point. That same day, it was out here in this ravine. Why would say that? They were telling me that on day one. They was telling me this when the vehicle showed up. And they said the reason why they know this, because there was a hard hat in the vehicle filled with rainwater, right? Fill up. If you guys know the hard hat, this is one of Dan's hard hat he used. It was filled up with rainwater. If you see a picture of it, it had a business card in. You guys know I did a business card test, and that business card was put there. But nevertheless, they said this is raining so hard that it filled up a hard hat, right? And that's how they said it was raining for 30 days, and that hard hat filled up with water. But then when you look in the vehicle itself, you don't have not one drop of water in the vehicle. One drop, no puddles, no nothing. But they want you to believe somehow this hard hat was able to retain water, but that window on the bottom, right here on the bottom, that ought to begin, you guys tell you, no other glass in this vehicle was bust out. All the airbags deployed, no glass bust out. So if the vehicle line on that side, wouldn't you think it would have been, if a hard hat could fill up with water, that would have been a lot of water in that vehicle on that side, puddled up into that window well where it can't escape outside the seals of that vehicle. So that's not factual. Then because I said that, they say, oh, we got signs of water damage. Where? There was no signs of water damage. The other part, you guys, when you look at this vehicle, when I examined it myself as a father, taking consideration of a lot of things, is the fact when you say all the airbags in this vehicle is deployed, every last one of them. And we know that if only times a bad airbag deployed on the passenger side is if someone's sitting there over, I think, about 60 pounds, because, airbags can kill children, pets, and things like that. Those sensors would not let them airbags deploy when somebody's that light sitting on the other side. So who was sitting on the passenger side when these airbags deployed? Another thing is law enforcement wants you guys to believe that somehow my investigator found that there was 46 initial cycles after this airbags deployed on this vehicle. After the accident that caused the airbags deploy, somebody was trying to crank the vehicle up 46 times, 46 times. Could you imagine Daniel? They're claiming Daniel with one hand was sitting in the seatbelt on the driver's side after this so-called rollover. They tried to say, and this their justification, rollover with a brain injury, and he was sitting there cranking it up, being able to somehow superhero style, still sitting in the passenger seat while the vehicle lying on his passenger side, and he's trying to crank it up 46 times. It's ridiculous. It's ludicrous. It's the stupid stuff that law enforcement will hang their hat on. And the crazy part, the sad part about this whole scenario is they did a case briefing with the FBI Phoenix field office, who backing law enforcement. I call them glorified police officers, backing Buckeye with his bogus story, and so that lets me know that they don't have a care about even trying to find answers in my son's case. So those are the things that I had to deal with over time, over this last 3 years. Now to get into the highlight of things, I'll make sure I'm not missing any questions before I keep going. But yes, what I see to make that story long, what I just did, is to say that I have more I can say about the scene. But no, I see a crime scene. I see a crime scene. I see what it really is. It is a crime scene, and I take it as such. Let's see if I have any more questions. Yes, I did have a question on you're on the YouTube side. And I want to say thanks so much, OG London Girl. Thanks so much for being here, first of all. And I will answer your question again, you guys. I want to say this, Missy. I'm going to answer that question too. But if you guys have any questions, please put the word a capital letter Q before your question, or a big giant question mark. I'll take the word question or something like that before your question. That way I can see it, because I would have missed that, Miss Johnson. All right. The first question I have from OG London Girl question is, what is the biggest lead you have found so far? And the vehicle brought a lot of leads. When it comes to like personal leads, like people that's calling in, it was numerous of leads. I had sightings after sightings after sightings, being in Sedona to Flagstaff to out in California, New Mexico, even Georgia. Well, not really a sighting in Georgia, but it's more so someone found an item they believe was belonging to Daniel out in Georgia. You guys haven't heard about. So it's so much stuff that has been out there. But the biggest part of this whole story came from this vehicle search, of the finding of this vehicle. We have the sock that was found, that was picked up from the clothing that you see on the scene. I'll try to get my orientation right. Clothing you see right here on the scene, one of the socks that belongs to that. Now they can think about it. Buckeye's the one that cleared the scene. They put these things in these bags and things like that. A week or so later, couple weeks later, After I hired my private investigator, we had a search out there. My private investigator found one of Daniel's socks that belonged to him out near the well site. So, this had yielded so much information. The vehicle itself yielded so much information about my son's case. It's some other things that I have, you guys, like I told you guys, if law enforcement would have bothered, and I want to back up, I forgot to tell you guys that part. If they would have bothered, would have bothered when Ken told that story that he told me he want to go back home to rest. And I said this, guys, before, you guys probably, things been happening so fast. I said something about it, but then kind of moved on. But if they would have bothered about doing a job like they're supposed to, when I found that Google history, got that Google stuff back off of Daniel's phone after it returned to me the way law enforcement returned it to me, it would suggest everything I have, and I have copies of these things, you guys, that Daniel's phone was moving around Levine. And Levine is the area where the young lady lived before he went missing. The night before he went missing, his phone was hanging around there all night, to make a long story. And I didn't know what Levine was at the time when my son went missing. So I was assuming he was doing Instacart again or something. And so the thing is with that, I brought that to law enforcement. They don't care about that. One of the biggest parts is that, to me, I took the opinion at the time to say I thought maybe that's why he was saying he wanted to go back to Phoenix. Before I realized he don't even live in Phoenix. That's why he wanted to go back to Phoenix and rest. He's tired. And that's when I say, well, if he's tired, he would just wouldn't have came to work at all. Maybe they would have thought about it. The man working all night, Instacart. Then I started thinking about it again. I'm like, who does Instacart all night? But why his phone hanging around Levine, the same city area where this young lady lived? So those type things. So a lot of those things come to mind when it comes to, and then also you guys will learn the connections that people have. Believe it or not, you have connections between the chief of police at the time, some of the people, the players that y'all hear in the story. You have some relative connections. You have some working connections with all of them. And so those things will come into play later on when it comes to my son's case, things I have to release to the public since law enforcement would not do anything. So when it comes to this question with Missy, next question with Miss Miss Johnson, sorry, with the new leads. Yes, there are some new leads out there, but those things have to be released to the public for everybody can understand. So I have to get the opinion of the public, the judgment of the public versus the judgment of law enforcement, because I'm not getting too much there. And so let me see here. Do I have anything else? Do you still? And again, guys, if you have any questions, please put the word question before your question, capital letter Q, question mark, and that way I can see it as I'm coming down. Do you still go out searching on in the desert? I have did that 50th search on April the 12th, and I can't tell you, guys. I'll be honest with you. I'm real tired. I'm tired, and every time I have to go out there, it's very depressing. One of the biggest things, and I thank God was for able to do that, was to constantly ask people for donations. That's hard. I mean, it might sound easy to you guys, but it's hard for me. But I do it every time. And like I'm doing right here, I'll be talking about that soon with you guys with this Candlelight Vigil coming up. Just the whole fact of trying to make sure I'm putting these things together. And it's hard trying to come up with funding to make it happen. It's hard to get my mind there to go do it in the first place. But I know it's needed. Those things are needed because, guys, if you're out there in that desert with me, you'll understand why it takes so long. You'll understand why it's needed for a desert search. Why, when I go out there and I see this new project that's out there and they broke ground and they have all the cement road and all that, why it still bothers me in my mind, wondering, because of the many people that we have in the areas that we just couldn't touch, what if we missed something? And what if he's now buried under all of the stuff that they build, as new roads or whatever? So those things come to mind. So every time I had to go out there, I had to think about all this. I had to revisit so much stuff mentally. But at the same time, like I said, it's necessary. And I push myself to do that because I love my son. If he's out there, it's a place that we didn't get to search. I want to be able to do that. And I can tell you up front again, when you ask this question, I want to make sure people clear. I do not search the whole Sonoran Desert. That's nearly impossible. Even though we did 35,000 acres of land, probably more like 40,000 now at this point. The thing is, it's based on the science. Like again, on the scene here when they say he walked off here, and they claim they had no tracking of him, but they used their dogs. They can't claim it. They didn't track nobody leaving the scene. But the clothing, everything on his body, off his body. How far a person can walk in this snoring desert at 118 degrees around that time of the year, butt naked, with no clothes, no water that he left in that vehicle, no cell phone, nothing. How far can you walk before you drop? Right? We see cattle out there all the time that just didn't make it, for instance. And it's also based on 11 additional miles that was found on this vehicle. From this vehicle out, we did 11 miles and worked our way to try to come back to the vehicle where the vehicle was found to check where those 11 additional miles come from. But at the same time, that was a radius. They helped us build up even more of a radius, along with, like I said, that science. Then there was other factors and things that we had where there was some tips or things like that would add to that. Like, for instance, the April 12th search, I had a tip from an elderly couple that's coming down Sun Valley Parkway. So that search was based on that. So we got these things that's out there. So when you ask that question, I said to myself, and I said it to the media that's there as well, I said this as this be my last search out in the desert. And I said the only way I'll be out there again is if, I get another lead. I have some information because I'm going back over old things to see if I miss anything, because I've been doing investigation for a long time. If I miss something, there's an area that I should have searched, then you guys will hear me trying to push another search to get in to search that area. And it had to be a reason. It had to be a reason for me to do that. So yes, it will be a search again if provided that I get a new lead. There's some information that was brought to my attention, things like that, those variables like that. That's the only way that'll happen. Other than that, I don't have anything planned search-wise out in the Sonoran Desert. But again, thanks so much for your question from the Facebook side. Also, if so, you need volunteers. I always need volunteers. Yes, I really do. I need volunteers, and I thank everybody again who've been out there. I used to get 200 people deep sometimes out in the desert, sometimes a little more. But I really appreciate everybody who actually been out there. And thanks so much again for your comment there as well. And let's see if I got any more questions here. I don't want to miss anybody. Again, if you guys have any questions, put a big question mark, the word question, a big capital letter Q, something where I see, because I don't want to end up missing anything. And let's see here. Well, I will put the comment up. I'm trying to see what the comments say here. I am so sorry. The law enforcement did nothing to help. This is a crime scene, full stop, and it is. Thanks so much. And anybody can see that. I can tell you, and I always say this often, and you guys heard me say this before. Pretend, just for one moment, we heard a breaking news story about a law enforcement officer who drove off on June 23rd off of Sun Valley Parkway, Cats Road, and he went to go check on a well site and see if these guys was at this well site working. This man named Daniel and a man named Ken was out of well site working. And our officer went out there and drove onto the well site and spoke to these guys. They said, yeah, the officer, he said something, he said here for about 15 minutes and he just drove off, right? Then both Daniel and Ken were leaving the job site and they noticed that his tracks went out west into the desert. But at the same time, they didn't realize that law enforcement, the Buckeye Police Department, was trying to call this officer on the radio, and they haven't had any contact with him. They reported and said, yeah, he went out west, and so they did a search, and they somehow magically didn't find his vehicle. But his vehicle showed up. The police cruiser showed up 30 days later, lying in this ravine, 20-foot ravine. I mean, everything on this officer's body was lying on the ground. His gun, everything's lying on the pile 3 feet away from the vehicle. No one in this world, in this big blue earth itself, would tell me law enforcement will grab these things from the scene, put it in a bag, and say to the family, there's nothing to see here. He may have joined a monastery, become a monk. I know he was an officer and everything. This is not a crime scene. We don't see nothing wrong with this, the scene. The same scenario, you guys, nobody in this God's blue earth can tell me that this automatically, first of all, they wouldn't have stopped looking for that officer the first day. It wouldn't have been 30 days, first of all. If they would have had a breaking news that also went missing and someone said his vehicle tracks went out west, you best believe officers from South Carolina, I would think Leon Lott here in Columbia, South Carolina would say, send officers out there to go find this one officer, right? There would have been the FBI, whoever, government officials, everybody would go out there to try to find this one officer. Let's pretend the vehicle, somehow they didn't find him in 30 days. The vehicle show up there in that ravine. It would not be no doubt in my mind that this would have been a crime scene from day one's jump start, period, right? So what I have been saying for day one since my son has been missing, especially when this vehicle showed up too, treat my son's case like you would if it's your son. Treat my son's case if it's a law enforcement officer, you name it. Treat it the same as that way. Use the same resources that I have seen in many other cases. You guys know there's cases where resources are put into it quickly. And they have, from day one, they had law enforcement presence doing these massive searches and with their dogs and helicopter stuff. And they actually find these people very quickly, And so that's all I had asked for almost 4 years. And I haven't gotten it not one time after 4 years now. So the thing is, I can't give you the updates of some good stuff that happened, but you guess believe. Well, I can tell you like this. The first search that Buckeye Police Department did, it was pushed. I've been trying to get them to do it. They denied it. I don't know what my aunt said to them, but they actually got pushed to do it. They claimed they did this helicopter search that was on the 26th. They say the 25th. They claim they did this, and I can't tell you to date, you guys, and they can say this all they want to in their report and tell you guys that it don't exist. And when I say it don't exist, because I had put a FOIA request, and we all know what a FOIA request is, you guys, and it's a Freedom of Information Act that we, as citizens, be able to get, especially a family member like me. I went to the Phoenix and Fire Rescue and did a FOIA request, and here it is and I did that in 2021. Here it is in 2025, and they still claiming they're looking for it, right? First, they told me they didn't have it at all. They didn't see no evidence of it. But then when they found out it was about Daniel's case, to date, they're still saying they're looking for it. It don't exist. They never went out to search for my son. But I know they did the first search initially like 2 weeks after my son went missing with Civil Air Patrol. It was 4 vehicles, pickup trucks. Guys, mind you now, imagine this now, four pickup trucks. I have 200 people with razors, with pickup trucks, with SUV, all the stuff, all this kind of equipment, drones and all those. But we only had 4 pickup trucks with a few guys with law enforcement, and they said they was going to search for my son. And when I went to say, hey, as an extra person, I need to go help you guys, they blocked the gate with their vehicle to make sure I didn't go in to see what they really was doing. And so to make a long story short, that yielded nothing. They did an area search, and what they claim, if you guys look at the map, and I still have it, they actually flew over this area where the vehicle's going to be found. Nothing was there, they say, right? And I was there, and I saw the aircraft going across the sky, supposed to be looking down for Daniel's Jeep. It wasn't there. So they own search nullifies their claim that the vehicle was here for 30 days. The other part is, and it's a blue vehicle. The other part is, you guys, again, the whole entire time of what I'm asking and what I'm saying to get the point I'm making is that I just want the same attention, the same fight, the same vigor that should have happened on day one. I shouldn't have paid thousands of dollars to, for the vehicle and Dane's clothing and stuff like that over time. I shouldn't have had to been paying thousands of dollars for and utilizing GoFundMe money to go out and do my own searches and investigation and putting these things together to keep Daniel's story out there. So I shouldn't have had to do that. That should have something that law enforcement, I should have never had these things in my possession at all. That's negligence on law enforcement side. So again, yes, I want to say, I want to put those kind of things out, but I want to make sure I get these questions before I go, because I can be long-winded and it's already been an hour and I can keep going. I see a W, but I don't know if that's, you meant to put a Q there. Sorry if you've already gone over this, but has the well been thoroughly searched? It have been. And I have a question here, and I'm going to throw up here, and I'm going to come back to your search too. Your question too, but I have a question on the Instagram side. I don't want to miss it because it will scroll up on me. And let's see here if I can put that up real quick. I do have a question here, and I'm going to do both of these questions. Question is from Rachel. You say, is it possible the clothing are spare clothing? Yes, it's possible. We didn't see any evidence, but yes, it's possible. We thought about that too. Or do you know that the clothes he was wearing when he went missing? Now, I don't know if that was a clothes that when he went missing at all. I don't know that part of it. I can tell you that the clothing that was found on that scene, my daughter don't recognize it. We don't recognize it as a family. They saying that is your son's clothing, and so it's almost law enforcement telling us rather than listening to us. So we say, hey, we don't recognize it. My daughter sees my son more than anybody. She lives in Arizona. At times she was living in Phoenix, and she lived in Arizona at the time. They go hiking all the time together. On the matter of fact, they was going hiking that weekend that he went missing, and so she would recognize clothing. I'm from South Carolina, so of course I don't know everything in his wardrobe, but she does. And nobody recognizes his clothing, but law enforcement say, no, it is his clothing, and y'all going to accept it. It kind of threw it at us, say that's the clothing. They don't want to even test it to verify if it's his clothing. So the thing is, that's what we got. So I don't know if that's his clothing at all, so I want to set that out first. But to say if he has change of clothes, he possibly could. But why would he have change of clothes? First of all, he's just going to work. But the other part is, why would he be changing clothes after so-called being in a rollover in the middle of the desert, taking his boots off and the boots? And then the other part is still can't answer the question how the boot even get up under the vehicle. So those two things. So a couple things. But yeah, that's some of the questions that we do have when it comes to that. We would never know definitively if he had to change the clothes or not. But I think the second part of the question was about the well. So I'm looking at the second question here, the well site. Now, Teresa, thanks so much for that question, and I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. That question, you say if you haven't gone out already, we haven't, but it was the well thoroughly searched. I can tell you like this. I was trying to be nice to law enforcement. When I say nice, give them the benefit of doubt. And the reason why I did this too, and I don't want people to think that I'm some type of police basher or something. I'm not. I just talk about facts, and I'm a passionate parent. And if I see BS, I'm going to call it up on. I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about law enforcement feelings. I can just tell them straight. I tell them in their face too. I don't care about your feelings. I care about you doing your job. That's it, period. Point blank. Nothing else. Feeling wise, you shouldn't be at work. Shouldn't even be a police officer. You care about your feelings getting hurt. The thing is, I did on a search. I've been numerous of times trying to get law enforcement Buckeye to get out there in the search with me to support. And one particular time, I met with Detective Biffman one time to get them out there. They agreed to come out during one of my searches to assess the wells, to go down in the wells and look into them, right? And they didn't keep their promise. To make a long story, I gave them assignments to the wells and also a couple mines that was in the area to go look for, and they didn't do that. They gave me an empty promise, say, "Oh well, we can do it through the weekday," and so they do it another day, which they end up setting up another day. Myself and Mr. Farmer and another gentleman, former police officers, we went out to meet Buckeye in the desert out there to do assessment of these wells. There's two wells: the one that they claimed Daniel was last seen at, and the second well that's north of that. Because I had suspicions based on the story that Ken gave. He said 1 mile west, 2 mile north to get to this well site. And if you was to follow exactly what he said, it'd take you to the second well site, not that first well site. So I would say, we need to check both of these well sites. I don't believe that's the well that Daniel was last seen. That's a throw off, and it's really that northern one. So they agreed to do that. I told them, and the crazy part, I was telling them how I would like to see this thing done. I told them when they need to bring a cadaver dog, and what they need to do with the mine as well is take a fan and blow down. Because I've been doing my research, guys. I research and I study and try to learn things. And they try to get some air movement down in these wells first, and then bring the dogs to see if they can smell any human scent, down in these wells. But they said it's going to take a camera down. But I asked, and so they had this. I think they call it Arizona Posse folks, what they call themselves, to come out with their camera, right? It's part of the Maricopa County thing. And they had these cameras, and I was looking at the camera. I don't know, I'm not expert, but they took this makeshift cable and thing, and they created. And the guy said, "Yeah, they go take the camera down in the well." Oh, let me back up. The first well where Daniel supposedly had went missing, they claimed it had some equipment on it, so they couldn't mess with that well. So they tried to get in touch with the people who was doing the development out there to get that equipment off, so we can do that. But in the meantime, went to the second well up north, and they, like I said, they put a camera down, and that's the one I really wanted them to look into, because the mouth of that well is a lot wider, and it's easier to drop someone down into. Right. The other well that they claimed Dan was missing is had to be a little more graphic. So if it's in children here, I apologize. You probably want to cover the ears and things like that, because I want to offend anyone. But that first well site was more narrow. You guys probably seen that well site on some of the videos from CNN to Dateline, who was out there with me in the desert, and you can see the circumference of that well. It's impossible, not impossible, harder to put a person in my son's the way he's shaped down in there. You have to pretty much dismember the arms or things like that to get a person down in there. So make a long story short, it wouldn't be as easy to put a person down in that one. But the other one is a lot wider, and someone can put someone's drop down. So the thing is, I was more concerned about that one anyway, when it came to that point. And then again, from Ken's own word of mouth about the 1 mile west, 2 mile north thing. And I measured it. And so the thing is, we went there to that well. They put this makeshift camera there down in there. And I promise you guys, they were showing me on the little screen. They had a little camera on it, I guess, and you can see it on the little screen they had up there. And when they got to the water level, and the camera barely touched that water, and they was freaking out. They're freaking out. They pull it back out. Oh my gosh, my camera touched the water or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It made me some upset. It made me very upset, because I know anytime you do something thoroughly and you do something correctly, you would do a full job. And this is my son, you guys. I don't look for half behind jobs, excuse my expression. Looking for half jobs. I look for full jobs. And so when I saw that they were doing a half job, they was looking at they looked at the water level and pulled the camera back up and said, "Nothing else to see here. Your son is not there." Right? Nothing else to see here. It's over. We searched as well. They want to get themselves a pat on the back. Yeah, we searched as well. Now, I was really upset, but I went on social media and said, "Yeah, give him a little prayer." Yeah, Buckeye went out and searched as well, blah, blah, blah. I wasn't satisfied with that. So I said, no, I had to do this myself. I had to do it myself. So I was able to make a long story through chain, get a company out there of my own to assess those wells, both of them. And I had both well searches with real cameras, submersible cameras. Had the companies who actually do this for a living go down into this well and look into these wells. And I could tell you the one that was northern one, the one that I really believe that's the original well site that's really supposed to be in there. And the other one that we've been talking about this whole entire time is a knockoff. And I have video of this. I wish I could play it right now for you, but I have videos of this where I went down that well. That well is over, I want to say, almost 1,000 feet deep, right? The other one is a little shy of, I think, like 600-700 feet, but the other one's well over close to 1,000, probably even at 1,000 feet deep. And so I was able to go down in there. When we first got down to the water level, the first thing you could find is all kind of things blocked. It was a big old pipe sitting in there that the guy, like I said, this company do this for a living. He was wondering why I was there. Nothing should be in this, no structures, no nothing. It should be a straight shot down. Big old pipe there. He tried to figure out a way to get around his pipe. So he had to go through the pipe. When you go through the pipe, make a long story short, we figured out how the pipe was stuck like that, sitting halfway up in that water and sitting in that shadow of the surface of that water. And that's because someone threw another. I don't know if you guys know, if you go to a railroad trussing, across a railroad track, and you see those heavy wood that goes up under the railing of the railroad track, those type wood, that real solid wood. One of those was broken in half some type of way. But anyway, they had that down in there, and that was stuck. So when they put the pipe in there, that pipe was stuck too, right? So it was all clogged up. So we had to get around that. And once we get around that part, that's when you realize what's really going on. Get down in this deep. When you get down to the bottom, you start seeing you start seeing all the stuff start falling. A lot of dirt and sand start flipping around in the water, start going down. And then once because of the camera that he was using going down, straight down, once we got past all that stuff. But then when you get down to the bottom of the well, you run into, getting close to the bottom well, you run into a fence post that was turned down in there. And when you look at the fence post, you know how it has a little area where the connectors go. So there's a mound of dirt sitting there. So that let me know if you lose common sense and science and common sense. I'm just that kind of person. That fence post was there first, then somebody threw dirt down in there, and the dirt built up in a little mound on there. So that's why the dirt is sitting there on the mound under that water like that. But then you go down further where the fence post ends is down in this dirt. But then down in the dirt, you can see all the stuff. You can tell it's a mound of dirt, like a lot of dirt was down there, put down there for whatever reason to cover something up. But then when you look at really good, you'll see something there like the crest of someone's, like a skull. To make a long story short, and it was really freaked me out. It freaked the gentleman out that actually had the camera. He gave me all the footage. I was able to send it to a forensic department and then it was Arizona State University as well as one in another state. And that science department was concerned about it being a human skull. Made an alert about it to law enforcement, and they ignored it for a while until I started really pushing it into social media and start pushing it really hard on news media about this skull looking thing in that well. And so, make a long story, when I was getting to the crest of really getting something done about it, I went to the Justice Department and so on and so on. That's when the Buckeye Police Department came in and snuck behind me and called me in the middle of the day and said, "Oh yeah, we went back into that well and we had to use a submersible camera and we pulled it." And I promise you guys, they came on news really quick. They called local news and they put this thing laid out on table. I call it pocket change. Pocket change. After all that stuff I described to you guys that was down there well to cover something up. And I'm telling you where the dirt came from, the mound of dirt that I was telling you about. If you look outside the well, if you go out westward from the well itself, you can take a few, about not even 1,000 feet, I'll say a few hundred feet eastward. There's a big giant mound of dirt. Where that dirt came from that been dumped down in that well. So that was there, right? So I made a big thing about, like I said, and they came in and called me in the middle of the day. He said, Detective Biffin called me for something unrelated. And then he says, "Oh yeah, by the way, we went back to that well and we went and looked down in there and we found it was nothing. We found no human nothing down there, right? That's what they say, right? What about the skull thing? The skull, the top of the human skull thing that we saw, and so." Oh no, we ain't found nothing, right? And then they came out that night. I happened to look on social media, on a social media platform on Twitter. They had they didn't send me anything, but this stuff I had to find outside in the public view. They had pocket change. I call it pocket change, like little metal, little piece of tiny metal. I'm like, no, what happened to the board? What happened to the pipe? What happened to this? The fence posting, all the stuff, right? They don't want nobody to see that part. Somebody covering up something. But it showed you guys pocket change, like I call it. And so those things are problematic for me still to this day because, if they went in, and I'm not accusing law enforcement of moving something, but they went in and let's say if it was somebody else, somebody can go in behind you and make things disappear. I'll just put it that way. You got to have answers for that. You have to have answers for what the justification, what was that we saw? You can't say, "Oh, y'all just seeing nothing." We saw something. It's right there on the film. I showed you guys here on the Q&A before many times. We talked about it. And many people, even with your own eyes, can see that it appears to be the top of a human skull. Now, and so to make a long story with that, you guys, those are the things you asked me about that well. Yes, it's been thoroughly searched by me, not law enforcement, but by me. The second time law enforcement went only into that well site. The other one, no. But that one, to pull out what they're claiming is pocket change, that's all they got. And so after that point, there was no need for me to go back in that well site again. But I forever have the footage of what I found in that well site. So hopefully one day when I get some serious law enforcement, some really serious investigation, they can look at the entirety of everything. So that's where I'm at on this point. Let's see if I have anything else. Am I missing anything on Twitter, on Instagram? I don't want to miss anything you guys have on Instagram. So if I did, I apologize for it. See, when is America Most Wanted going to show your case? It has been going on every Monday. It come on tomorrow night. So I guess you guys who missed it about Daniel's case, you can watch it again if you have Hulu. You can, YouTube TV. I use that. You can watch it, even go on YouTube itself, and you can type in America's Most Wanted missing persons. And then look at episode 1. I think Daniel's story is definitely on episode 1, season 1, episode 1, and then also episode 2 as an update. And so you see his story on both of those. A little piece of story on the second one, but the major part of it on the first one. I'm assuming, based on the filming that I did with them and some other stuff, they would come up with something. Oh, we got another update, because some things I have filmed with them and they haven't shown yet on that series. I see there's a lot of filming we did, and I say about 80% of what we did out there in the desert, and we talked about, I haven't seen it on the show yet, but it may come up there, so you can continue to watch that. But there's other families there too. Stories are being highlighted, and I'm really pleased to see that America's Most Wanted is doing that, because those there's a lot of missing Americans out there. I'm telling you guys, watch the show, watch the episode. And I'm telling you guys, it will touch your heart to see when how many Americans go missing every year, every day, and these stories that you guys probably haven't heard about. There's a lot of missing Americans out there. A lot of families need your help, so that show can help a lot with you guys learning about these cases, and hopefully you may know something, or you can share their stories and get some answers. It's not all about my son's case; it's about all these other cases too. It's a bunch of them, and they have a whole show about it. So you guys can join in on that and help bring somebody's family member home. It's easy as that. Just watching shows like that and getting these answers. But I do see a question on Instagram from Jim B. The question is, I apologize if you already addressed this question. Has anyone used GPR, ground penetrating radar? No, they have not. And you know what? It's funny you say that. I have been. This is a question here, you guys. It's funny you say that. I remember when I first out in that desert, I've been trying to get everything. I've been pitching that a lot from. I've been pitching that a lot for funding. Like I was pushing the drones. I needed drones, and like this person, one of you guys put here drones. Aaron, thanks so much. I've been pitching drones, specialized drones. I've been trying to gain more funding at the time. Anybody go on GoFundMe right now to see it says 400,000 or 300,000, whatever it's at now. That's not money that was just sitting in some bank somewhere. That's money that we're actually using in these searches, right? And it's going every week. We're just constantly doing things, not just the desert. Again, you guys, it wasn't never just the desert searches I was doing. It was also the city searches I was doing. It's also the billboards, the flyer distribution, you name it. I was doing a lot of things simultaneously. Every time I leave that desert out there, people can tell you, I leave that desert, in the hot desert, with volunteers all the way into the afternoon or to 11 o'clock. Most time we try to get people out there before noon. I go straight. Like you guys probably remember, I say, meet me behind this Walgreens. That was my city search. That was my flyer distribution. We go out to the malls and pass out thousands of flyers, put them all in thousands of cars, and you name it. Going to shopping centers. I was tired. At the end of the day, I always be tired. And then I had to get on the computer and start doing the stuff and trying to get media to keep Dan's story out there. So it was a lot of work. Constant. I was on a constant moving. So it wasn't just, Miss Robinson out in the desert doing the desert search and then you just go out again. No, it was leaving the desert search and people tell you, I rush home, turn all this equipment in, rush home, go try to get in my own car, get in my own car. Because remember, I drove up to Arizona, get in my own car, wash real quick, get in my own car, and go do the city search and the city distribution. Meet volunteers. I had to do 2 sets of volunteers. That's why I say you guys haven't heard about. You hear about the desert searches, but you haven't heard about the city searches. You haven't heard about the flyer distribution. all the volunteers that did that as well. You don't hear about the specialized searches I had in off of Verado Way, because I had tips, and y'all gonna hear a lot about the information I got from that too, and some of the striking things that I found. I'm doing law enforcement's work, you guys, and I've been waiting, holding stuff for years now to see if law enforcement catch up. I give them to them, and when I say catch up, for them to actually utilize things I gave them a long time ago. So, again, to answer that question, yes, I have been trying to get ground piercing radar and things like that, and one of the biggest parts of that was to specialized drones. I was really trying to, and it cost money. I went to go look at how much things cost. We have a drone now for the searches, but it's Maverick. I forgot the name of, but it's not an expensive one like the one I really needed, that would be able to see the ground changes with the technology it has to see ground changes at the time that I needed. See somebody tried to bury Daniel somewhere, or anybody. And I couldn't get it. I've been trying real hard with the money that I've had, trying to split it between the desert searches, the flyer distribution, and all the stuff I was telling you guys about, trying to juggle money and also to remain in Arizona. All that thing simultaneously never allowed me to get the bigger drones that I really needed at the time, and to be able to do that, saying the ground radar type things. All that stuff came into play, but I was able to get a charter flight, helicopter and plane to fly over, things like that. So, and things like that is costly too. So, but the whole bottom line, yeah, drones is one of the biggest things to go along with the question that you was asking. Let me see here. Do I have any more questions? If not, I'm going to go into this for now. Go into this Candlelight Vigil again. If I have any questions, I'll see your questions up here, you guys. I will put it on the screen. But for the Candlelight Vigil that will be happening on the 28th, you guys, it's going to be on the 28th in Phoenix, Arizona, is what I'm pushing for. And I'm saying it's going to be because I'm taking it in faith. I'm doing everything I can to get the funding for it. Again, that's why I'm here for part of this live, is to talk about the funding I need for this to come into fruition. I really want to have, I'm trying to get some celebrities there, you guys. And I sent out some letters and things like that, and hopefully I can pull that off. But I want to have bring a lot of attention to this event. This event, I want to bring a lot of attention because, again, I'm running for office, and one of the bigger things for me is the fact to be able to highlight some of the reasons why I'm running for office in the first place, is to fight for missing Americans. To be able to be in Congress to bring legislation that will help families. And I know those things that I needed. So I want to make sure I'm doing everything I can to try to find solutions and ways to help law enforcement, help families. And then I'm not just law enforcement. I want to be able to empower law enforcement. Law enforcement seem to be so overwhelmed with cases that these families don't have the power to utilize the technology and things that we have right now to actually even do something for ourselves. You can't always rely on, look at Dan's case. See, for 4 years, you can't always rely on law enforcement on things. So you got to be able to have some power yourself. Question, do you believe Daniel is somewhere in the desert near the crash site, or do you feel this could be a planet? I know it's a planet. Well, the vehicle itself, let me get the name right, Jim B. The vehicle itself is a plant. That's no doubt about it. My investigator found that information out. The case, regardless of what law enforcement want to put out there to you guys, it's no doubt this vehicle is planted here. This is a plant. This vehicle, I'm going to tell you a couple things. I'm going to tell you the highlight to this. And I'm not saying somebody did this, and I'm not saying law enforcement did this, right? What I'm saying is the suspicions of that, though. Well, I always felt that this whole thing is a cover-up somehow. And I have evidence of that, too. But the thing is, this vehicle showed up on July 19th, right? 2021. Almost 30 days after Daniel went missing on June 23rd, 2021. And and this vehicle, this crash site, do I feel like it was planted? Yes. Couple things. Now, the vehicle showed up one night. This is before my investigator showed up to find out that it was planted by physical contact. He's after the reconstructionist. And I'm telling those reasons why. But before my investigator caused me to get my own investigator was the Buckeye Police Department detective. Now, he said they felt like it was there for 30 days. They're trying to push that hard hat thing I was telling you about. Oh, it's been there for 30 days, and that's it. Bottom line, and nothing else to see here. They really pushed me. They told me they're not investigating. They told my investigator after that they weren't investigating at all. They told me they had more leads to follow. They gave me a final, and I still have it. They gave me a final police report, unredacted, right? All information. Final report to say you're done. And I know they thought this. I was going to leave Arizona, and I was going to go back to South Carolina, and you guys would have never heard of Daniel Robinson. You've never heard about this case. But as it being a plant, several things, the reason why I know it's a plant. Now, they did that search right there in this area. Vehicle wasn't there. The other part is I did a search in this area. I didn't know it at the time, but I did a search in the area, not me physically, but the volunteers that I had out there in the desert. We did a search of this area during that time. We had a search when we were going broadly away from, we was going at least about 5 miles away from the well site, searching. Everybody going what we had is called hasty search. You just kind of go out and go hiking. A lot of people in Arizona like to hike. We call it a hiking exercise to see if you find or see anything suspicious. And a lot of volunteers went over there because I remember they was talking about the infrastructure area where the electricity power center, and it was going in that direction. And so I'm sure they ended up in this area. The vehicle wasn't there from that. Again, the Civil Air Patrol, our searches. But the major key point of this area, this is the rancher who found the vehicle himself, right? He was down looking for his cattle, all the stuff we already know. The vehicle was there a few days prior, and then 2 days prior, and then here it is, it showed up. The other part is what's significant about this case that you guys didn't hear about, or you heard about it, but law enforcement tried to step over it, is the fact that this vehicle was seen. It's funny how they would tell you all about the people that say, "Oh, I seen Daniel in New Mexico or something," right? Like a tip. Somebody say, "Oh, I see somebody look like Daniel," right? But they don't want to tell you about the person who seen this vehicle sitting on the side of the road off of Verado Way, right? Is Jack Rabbit Trail, and I can't think of the other name of the road right now. But the vehicle, Maxon Daniel's description, his vehicle description, was seen on the side of the road by a guy named Tony, and that's the only name I put out. And so this guy, him and his wife, were trying to get Buckeye to look into it, and they refused to do it. Now, and the reason I know they knew that they saw the man trying to get them to do it because of what I'm gonna tell you what Detective Biffin did. So he, with no resolution from Buckeye, he's putting on their social media platform. Hey, look, I got his picture. It looked like that man's son's Jeep sitting on the side of the road. My wife took the picture. They was moving in the vehicle, so the picture didn't come out. The quality wasn't that great, kind of blurry, but it was there, right? And so the vehicle sitting out the same road, Jack Rabbit Trail I'm telling you guys about, right? Sitting on the side of the road, smashed up against a tree, damaged. And I'm gonna tell you, the hindsight, when I think about it, I wish I had that on a recording or something, because the guy he was describing the damage, and it sounds so familiar with the windshields pressed in. That's what he was pointing out, talking about the most, about like the windshield looked like it got smashed or something. And something he was saying to me on the phone. Because the reason why I called him is because my family noticed all of this. And they said, "Hey, David, somebody put some on Buckeye Police Department." They be monitoring Buckeye Police Department stuff. I don't. I'm too busy to do all of that. And so when to talk to this guy, and he told me, yeah, his wife, same thing. His wife took the picture, blah, blah. He was telling me the damage. I didn't know this damage was going to be like this from my investigator. But the windshield part. Now, he ain't saying about the vehicle itself. You say the vehicle like it been smashed against a tree. That's what he pretty much said. But he was saying that the windshield was smashed in, like somebody tried to smash the windshield in. Now, the thing about one thing he said as well is that he tried to reach out to law enforcement. They didn't reach back. So after he told me that, I'll be honest with you, I got very excited. I'm sitting in Phoenix at the time, getting prepared for that weekend search. And so I called Detective Biffin. First, I called my daughter. I said, "Hey, look, we're going to go up there and see this vehicle. You know exactly what Daniel's vehicle looked like, and you can tell me it's his, right?" And so she said, yes. I told her to get dressed and get ready or whatever she's doing. I'll be picking her up in a little few. I was in a hotel at the time. I called Detective Biffin, and before I can even finish a full sentence, I said, hey, Detective Biffin, there's a gentleman called me, said he seen a vehicle just like Daniel, and if I can finish the scene, that's not Daniel's vehicle. Now, if he didn't talk to this guy, why he would say that? Oh, it's not his vehicle. I said, then I was like, whoa, I said, wait a minute, how do you know it's not his vehicle? He said, that's not his vehicle, right? Okay, say, well, did you do anything to go see? No. Well, can you send a crews out there to go see if it's my son's vehicle? Because I'm on the way up there. Me and my daughter, I'm going to pick her up, and we're on the way up there. It takes about 40 minutes from Phoenix to get to Buckeye, but we're on the way up there, right? And he said, okay. So I went to get my daughter. I got halfway there. The gentleman told him to call me back. He said, Mr. Robinson, he said, we went out there. I went out there again to see, check on the vehicle, and it's gone. It's gone. What do you mean it's gone? Yeah, it's gone. It was here, but now it's gone. I said, that's crazy, because I talked to Detective Biffin, and he said that he was going to send a crews out there to see if his vehicle. Do you see them out there? He said, no, but I seen Buckeye Police Department cruiser just past me, right? That he told me, right? So I said, okay. So I called Detective Biffin back, and to this day, you guys, he won't tell me anything. Buckeye won't tell me anything. I said, did y'all move the vehicle? Because the guy said the vehicle's not there. He jotted the question, and to this day, they would not answer that question for me. Did they move that vehicle? Did somebody take it? So whatever the case may be, because it's not there. Now, I can't tell you, that's when I, at the time, I'm going to throw this little part of the story onto it, because it's part of something that I found out about this whole area of Buckeye as well that day. My daughter and I continued on up there anyway. Because I said, you know what? I'm still going there in that spot, because I need to find out if there's evidence somebody moved it. So we got there. We got on the ground. I was looking around, looking for evidence, little broken glass, car vehicle glass, whatever, on the side of the road. We was on the side of the road. Didn't know anything about this area in Buckeye. We see people passing by, see a little Family Dollar store, that type deal. And so we sit on the ground looking for any evidence we could find. I so happened to get a phone call from a female officer that I've met a few weeks prior, who was helping me, who also had association with a chief that I was talking to, chief of the Tempe Police Department at the time. And she called me and said, hey, Mr. Robinson, what you doing? I said, oh, I'm out here in this. I told her where I was at, Jet Red Trail, blah, blah. And what I was doing. She said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to come up there to, help you out, because she's, she's a law enforcement officer. And she's going to come out there to help me out. And to make a long story short, she made it up there a little while. My daughter and I was sitting out there, was all on the ground looking for whatever, right, we could find. And my daughter got tired, and she decided to go sit in the vehicle for a little while to, I guess, rest her legs or something. And soon she got in the back seat of the car, or she sat down and shut the door. These pickup truck full of white guys hanging out the window and call us the N-word. It was really bad, right? Really bad. Broad daylight, N-word stuff, whatever. I'm from South Carolina, so I mean, we don't have people doing things out loud, but we know about what racism is. And so when it happened, I was so grateful that my daughter sat in the car at the time she did. She didn't hear it. But the officers told me, she's a black officer, told me, say, well, David, this is a sundown town. I mean, I know what a sundown town is, though. I've been dealing with that for years, too. Sundown town. I said, what, really? Yeah. You need to get your family out of here before it get dark. And so that's what we end up doing. But Buckeye is known as a sundown town. So the thing is, to go back to this vehicle, the vehicle showed up 2 days later in the desert. That's when, think about it, this was 2 days prior to that vehicle showing up in the desert. Wherever this other vehicle was, if it's the same vehicle, I believe it's Dane's vehicle, it disappeared. 2 days later, is in the desert, right? They called me and said, over now, this is over 24 hours later. Vehicle showed up July 19th in the desert, 2 days after. They said, Mr. Robert, call me from a hotel. The vehicle's been found. And I was freaking out. My heart's beating fast, and I thought it was going to tell me something. They found my son dead or something, right? I didn't care about the vehicle. I cared about it, but I didn't hear that. I heard it, but I didn't hear it. I went on the next thing it was going to say. And so he said about this vehicle. I said, well, about my son? He said, oh, we didn't find him. We didn't find his vehicle there. And okay, why y'all didn't call me about it? Because it was yesterday. Why y'all didn't call me? Because in my mind, I'm out here searching for my son with 200 people on the ground every weekend, and then on weekdays as well, right? And I'm all, they know I'm doing the stuff, trying to get Dan's story out on social media and all the stuff, and the news media, trying to get on national attention and all the stuff. And so he was like, oh, we didn't want to disturb your sleep. We didn't tell you because we didn't want to disturb your sleep. Like I was sleeping or something. I got really mad. I was like, what? Sleeping? You didn't want to disturb my sleep? What kind of mess is that? They called me over 24 hours after they found so-called this vehicle. And so I went to, he said, you want to see this vehicle? Okay. Well, can you come to the police department in Buckeye and we get an assessment about what we found? Okay, great. Got ready, left my hotel room and went to Buckeye, drove out to Buckeye to this one. They have two different places there, departments. Went out to the one that's out, I forgot exactly the road name, but this guy wouldn't even let me in the building. I mean, this guy met me in the parking lot. Tell me when you get in the parking lot, I thought he was going to let me in the building. They ain't let me in the building. He met me in the parking lot. He had his pickup truck, and he threw this folder on the hood of the vehicle and started telling me stuff, right? Telling me about the vehicle, the whole thing. Now, I'm going to skip ahead because you guys heard this already, and I told you how he was telling me the car flip and roll and all the stuff, and then he took me to the vehicle, and some reason, I'm not even making this up, you guys. Get to the compound. After he told me that my son may join the monastery, become a monk, he was trying his best to get me to touch this vehicle for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. And I look at it hindsight, I'm like, he was really trying to get me to touch this vehicle for whatever reason. Because I was standing there, and he said, that's your son's vehicle over there. When I saw what I saw, and I seen all these, they had a whole bunch of cars that looked like they was wrecked or something. And I never seen Dan's vehicle for the first time. The first time I never saw it in my life in person. The pictures this guy seen, there's something Daniel sent to me. I put it out in the media. But I saw that car for the first time, damaged the way it was. I've been honest with guys, it messed me up mentally. It messed me up because the only thing I saw on that vehicle was my son got killed in it or something, hurt really bad. That's what it looked like to me. So I got stunned and I couldn't move. I couldn't move a muscle, like my muscles just wouldn't work or something. And then he said, go over there and look into the vehicle. I couldn't move. So he started moving to the vehicles. Then I started able to move with him. We got about 3 feet away from the vehicle. There's an airbag that's hanging out that one window right here, you guys. This window right here. There's the airbag that's hanging out that window. And he lifted up and said, hey, just look on in there, go in there and something to that effect. And I wouldn't move. And so he dropped it. Then he opened up the back door and he said, yeah, you can go in the back and look in something for whatever reason. And I happened to notice an NYPD bag when he opened the door. I saw it sitting on the seat. I said, what's that? He said, I don't know what it is. And he took the bag, opened it up, and dumped the stuff in, and it was hitting the floor or something. And I don't know what it was, but then I noticed these little baggies was in there, a bunch of bags of dirt, to me like dirt or mud or clay or something. Now I know what it is. It's samples of that well, if that water's good to drink and all this other kind of stuff. And it goes along with the assessment of the wells out there. So long story short, is in Daniel's vehicle. And so sample, as they call it, samplers or something. And so he opened the door and did that, and I wouldn't touch it. He kept telling me, go on in and do this and that. I said, sir, look, this is too much for me right now. I just need to get out of here. And then that's when he threatened me. He threatened me and said, well, if you don't get this vehicle out of here today, we're going to have a total away and you're going to pay storage fees. But okay. Well, sir, I don't know where to take it. I don't know my son's creditors, who he's paying, or whatever case. I need time. I need time to figure all this stuff out. Can you hold it for 3 days, please? So to give you a long story of you guys from that point, was able to, as a grown man, that's how I felt like I was begging another man to hold something, right? And he said, oh, yeah, okay, we'll hold it for 3 days till, basically you get the stuff you need, right, to get it out of here. So, but the good part was the same officers I was telling you about that met me on the side of the road, my daughter, who had me in association with the police chief at the time, assistant chief at the time of Tempe. He called me because we was working in the background before all this happened anyway to try to secure me a meeting with Chief Hall of the Buckeye Police Department. So he was able to do that. So happened within that little 3-day window. And Matter of fact, it was the next day. I think it was the vehicle was found on the 19th. On the 22nd, I had that meeting with the Buckeye Police Department when I talked to the whole staff. That's when I found out they did no forensics. I found out more they didn't do. Just everything they haven't done. When I asked them to do some type of forensics on the vehicle, which I asked for fingerprint, I didn't know what to ask for. Did you see in the blood? Y'all say y'all see in the blood. Did y'all do anything to see if somebody wiped up blood? No. How you know he was driving the vehicle? Like Sergeant Hanneman at the time said, well, his vehicle, being smart to me, it's his vehicle. Of course he was driving it. Like, what? That only makes sense from a person who's supposed to be a detective, sergeant detective at that, or to say something like that. And all the little critical things they've done, and gave me everything. And at the end of that meeting, and these evidence bags marked for safekeeping, and threw it in the trunk of my car. Everything that I had to this point until I recently got rid of it. And I've talked to you guys about that. And so to make a long story with that, you guys, the most striking part of this whole scenario, I'm telling you, to go back to this vehicle. The vehicle's seen on the side of the road. It showed up 2 days later right here in this ravine. And so when somebody asked me to say, do I think it's planted there? Yes, it's planted there. Evidence shows it's planted there. But it showed up 2 days after this guy saw it on the side of the road, taking the picture, and I still had those pictures. And the significant part to me was that this is the first time I met Chief Hall in that police department, sitting in that meeting with them, and had them to do that forensic on what they did is they swapped the steering wheel, the shifter, and the door handle, something to that effect. And that was it. They didn't do the airbags. I didn't know to ask for that kind of stuff. I'm a father. The airbags, all the stuff, they haven't done none. They didn't do a real forensics workup on the vehicle at all. And so I think that was on a Wednesday. That meeting I had was on a Wednesday. That vehicle showed up, I think it was like on a Sunday or something to that effect. It was a few days before that Wednesday meeting, or Wednesday or Thursday meeting. And I had a search on Saturday. I already had a search planned for that Saturday. Now, I did have a guy who was working for me. I had search coordinators and things like that. I had to help on my searches. And I'm putting this out in the public because I feel kind of bad at doing this right now. And I know this person, and I'm going to put a name out, but people know who this person could be because it could be anybody. But I had a person who was part of my team. He was co-working with the Buckeye Police Department. And when I found that out later, this person really seemed to really want to be a police officer really bad. He even had a vehicle that looked like a police officer vehicle. But he was part of my team, and but I need people. So when you need people, you put people on the team. I wasn't from Arizona. I'm not from the Buckeye area, but this person was. They know a lot more than I have when it comes to that terrain and things like that. So I need these people on my team. And so this one particular time, this guy, he never late for the search. Never late for the searches. But this one particular morning, he was late. I was pulling up at Sun Valley Parkway. I was coming, and volunteers usually be out on Sun Valley Parkway trying to come in, and we try to get there early to make sure that before people show up, I can direct them. Or I have Matrix New York Borough back in the day. Some of the workers was coming to help us out, and they kind of direct people into. Anyway, I came there early, like I normally would. He wasn't there. I'm like, where's this guy at? He didn't show up. Call him on the phone. He said, "Oh, I'm running a little behind." Okay, great. But he said, "David, it's another place," because we already have plans. I remind you guys, I always have meetings before my searches to talk about where we're going to search next. I talk to them and tell them where we need to search, what area we need to search, and things like that. So we made plans, to make a long story short, because keeping people safe again. My search is to keep people safe and things like that. So we plan all the stuff out. And he called me at that morning when I checked on him, and he said, "Hey, I got a new place that volunteers can go. It's a larger area. You get more cars there, and blah blah blah." Oh, really? Okay, I was down for it. Okay, we get more people into the desert easier. That's great. So he already had someone there, directed me into this area, me and my daughter. And so we get to this area. We're now known as the quarry area, and the people know this area. They went and searches with me. So we went to the quarry area, and I looked at it, I was like, wow, so he's right. Okay, this is a nice bigger area for volunteers to be able to park their cars and things. Okay. So I was able to do that, and I was sitting and still trying to figure out where he was at, because I always do a safety briefing before we go out and search. And so waiting on him and don't do safety briefing without him, because he'd do his part and I do my part. And so he finally showing up. It's right over the horizon. I never forget it like it was yesterday, you guys. Looking at him over the horizon and saw his vehicle, his white vehicle showing up. And I was like, okay, there you go. He finally showing up. But then there was another vehicle looks almost identical to his riding behind him. Like, wow, that's weird. You got two of them, two white vehicles with the police rims and all that stuff. And so when they got there, the second vehicle was Chief Larry Hall, right? Same guy I met in the meeting a couple of days before. The chief of police showed up. First time. I had searches going on for a while. Buckeye would not come out one time to the search. But the chief of police, their chief showed up, right? Okay. And the first thing he did when he got out of the vehicle, he ignored me and my daughter. He just met me now, the day before, a couple days before. He ignored it. He came out of the vehicle like he was on a mission. Came out, hey, how you doing, Mr. Robinson? And just walked past me. And so me and my daughter looked at each other like, okay, what's going on? Then he started yelling out real loud, hey, everybody, now all the volunteers, everybody, y'all want to know where this vehicle was found? Okay, and then my daughter looked at each other like, okay, but they never showed us where the vehicle was found. And so we felt offended. We're like, okay, what's going on here? He said, come on, everybody. And I got video, guys. You guys gonna see this stuff too. I'm gonna start releasing these too. Following this guy over the hill. I mean, it so happened, this is the ironic part. So happened the same place where guy had me to pull these people at. We literally had to go over the hill, and it was right there. So they put us where my son's vehicle was found, right? So we get there, walk over here. He said, you ain't got in the vehicle. We can walk there. We're all walking there. You see the video footage. We walked there, and then he went up on this hill, looking like Moses, about to depart the Red Sea or something. And he looked down, he said, the vehicle's found down in the ravine right there. He said, I know because I was here. It was found right there, right? And so I'm looking down in there, and we have questions. You see on the video. I ain't gonna go through the whole full context of that, but the fact is that he was there pointing, and I look at it, and I remember because they only gave me one picture at that point, you guys. And it's one thing that stuck out to me on that one picture was a stump that was about right in his hair behind Dane's picture here is a stump. And that stump is where they claim there was a cat that used to be there that got struck by lightning, probably burned down. And so I didn't see that in that ravine that he was pointing down. So I was like, that looked different from the picture I remember in my head. And because if you got a missing loved one, a missing son, you paying attention to details. I learned that in the military too. You pay attention to details. And so I didn't see that detail. And that was problematic, but I was listening to him. He's the chief, but then he started going off about this cartel stuff and how the cartels are really bad in this area. And they land their planes on Sun Valley Parkway at night, drop their drugs and fly back over and going back into Mexico and stuff like this. And, he kind of was giving the indication like somehow the cartels probably got my son or something. That's the only way I can read it. And so while he was going all off and things like that, my daughter came tapped on the shoulder, Dad, some guy wanted to speak to you. Looked over, went to go meet the gentleman. It was him and his wife. It was the rancher who found this vehicle. And make a long story without details of what he said, but he pointed, said, he stopped, he said kind of loudly, I don't know why Chief Hall is telling y'all that Jeep was found down there. It was found right here. He pointed down another ravine. And when he said that, I looked and he was right because I remember that cactus thing I was telling you about. And I said, that looks like it. But I want to back up. When you guys look at the video that I'm going to pretty much put in the public for the Buckeye Police Department sakes, Chief Hall said that they said the vehicle came from the west into that ravine. And they had evidence to say it came from the west in that ravine. Now, there's a couple things I want to show you guys when I do show you the video, and I wish I would have done it when I was in the desert. Maybe when I go back to Arizona, I would do it then. You remember they said the vehicle was doing 30-something miles per hour before it hit. You got the first accident, 30-something miles per hour, steady miles per hour on the gas pedal before it came in contact with something the airbag deployed. What is his name? Lindsey Payne. Lindsey Payne is a guy who you'll see him on America's Most Wanted missing persons, but he's also a podcaster. But we met in CrimeCon. he and I was riding when we was in that desert. I'm using this example. I've used many other, but I'm using this example that's most recent. We was in the desert filming for Missing America stuff. And he and I was in the Jeep and was coming up that same little westward from west to that ravine where this vehicle was found. And that's when it dawned on me when he said that it's impossible for we almost turned. I'll make a long story. He probably get mad at me for telling you guys this, but we kind of hit that hill the wrong way in the vehicle tilting, and I was sitting in the passenger side like, oh my God, we get ready to flip over. Make a long story. It's kind of funny now, hindsight. But it was hard. You had to get like a running start to try to make it up the hill, and no vehicle. And then you can hear him even say it himself. Chief Hall said it himself in this video I'm going to share with you guys. He said we use our razor, and we had a hard time getting in this area because it's hard to, you got to try to get a running start with our vehicle. This is a razor, and we use razors in this desert all the time to get around. That's why I tell you guys, I've been asking you guys for funding because I've been getting these razors, and they're really crucial for my searches because they help me with volunteers move around, get the volunteers faster, get to where people find things, all kind of stuff. They desert vehicle, they're made for that terrain. And so he said they had a hard time. So you thinking this vehicle right here will have an easy time to get 30 miles per hour, running, bouncing around, and keep a steady foot on the gas pedal at 30 miles per hour before impact or something. That accident didn't happen here, right? That's what my investigator was going at too on a lot of stuff. But what I'm saying, you guys gonna see the significant part of what I was saying is what I took from that day that Chief Hall showed up, and I still feel that in my spirit. He was selling me the story that this vehicle was here for 30 days. He was selling me that this vehicle was here in this ravine. He was trying to sell me that story. I was like, what? In my mind, we walked away when that rancher said, I don't know why Chief Hall telling you the story, and he walked away with a red face. I mean, he literally stopped talking. He turned red in the face. He walked past us, never ever seen him again in the searches ever again, ever in life. Well, 50 weeks of searches, never again. And he came to me the way I went to that hotel back after that. I went back home after that search, and I thought about that whole scenario. Only two people showed up that day, Chief Hall and the rancher. Those two ain't never showed up ever again, though. But I know Chief Hall have never showed up. Buckeye hadn't been out there. But Chief Hall was remorseful, and he was trying to me, the impression I took, and I'm just saying from my point of view, I was in my hotel room, felt like he was trying to sell me a story that the cartels did something to my son and that vehicle was in this ravine. Like you really didn't know, because I was here and that vehicle was in this ravine. But then when I got my private investigator who found evidence, physical evidence to suggest otherwise, that is a plant, like the question was asked, they didn't like that. I'm telling you something, you guys. Another thing you guys should know. It took Buckeye a month and a half to respond to my investigator. He was really, because he saw the suspicious things. He saw as a law enforcement officer the things that looked like it could be a cover up. So he was really reluctant. This is a conversation we had amongst ourselves. He was reluctant to share this information he found with the Buckeye Police Department. He wanted to go straight to the FBI about it. And because of the FBI, and I think the field officers and a lot of them guys, and I found out that Sergeant Hanneman and who works with the Buckeye Police Department has very close ties with these guys working the field office in the FBI. I think they're very, I'll say almost loyal, that blue thing, to that department. Because it was like, I can give you a story about the FBI department, but that's another time. But the thing is, when you guys look at the whole scenario, that story, when it comes to that, he didn't want to share that with them at the moment. But we needed Buckeye. We needed Buckeye because the law enforcement, though he's a private investigator, he don't have that kind of power to go interrogate. And some of those things that happens when it comes to law enforcement's job, right? You got to chain of custody issues that you got to work around, all this kind of stuff. And so he went and shared it with him. He shared it with them. Despite the fact they said they weren't doing no more investigation, they told him that to his face. That's why they gave him the black box data. They weren't investigating Daniel's case. And so when he gave it to them, now mind you, I told you I had a meeting with Chief Hall, right? Told you he came out to that search that one time, and I still had conversations with these people, Detective Biff and all of them. But my investigator gave him that information and showed them proof that a vehicle was planted there with the red transfer paint, the 46 initial cycles, the 11 additional miles, et cetera, the guys know about this vehicle, they shut down on me. They wouldn't even answer my phone calls. They wouldn't talk to me, period. I was trying to figure out what's going on, like what I do to them. We gave them information. I called them to back up this information we gave them and see what they're going to do about it. What they're going to do with this information. They shut down, didn't talk to us for a month and a half, right? Trying to figure out what's going on. The next noise we heard from them was they got their own private investigator. Now, they're supposed to be detectives, don't they? Are they investigators? These guys went and got an accident reconstructionist investigator of their own. And you guys can see it in the report. And the news people, of course, news organizations are always going to be on the side of law enforcement. I can see it even on some of these shows. They're going to be on the side of law enforcement. Law enforcement is always right. I say they're not. And there can also be some corruptions. But the thing is, I had tried my best to talk to Buckeye Police Department. They have not. That's when our relationship really started separating. That's when I started really having more suspicions about the Buckeye Police Department. And so they showed up with their own private investigator. Now, mind you, I had this vehicle in my possession. All the clothing here, I had this in my possession because they put it in evidence bag, gave it to me, and all stuff. So all the stuff was given to my investigator, and he found all this information. We had it. Buckeye didn't have it, right? They didn't have it since the vehicle was given to me, I told you, on the 22nd of July, but I had them hold it for 3 days. And they gave it to me on the 20th of July, but I had them to hold it for those 3 days. And then they ended up doing the forensics like I asked them to do, and they held it for a little longer, and then I got it out of there. But the thing is, I had all the other stuff, airbags, the clothing, this, that, blah, blah, everything you can name. And so this guy have never seen Dane's vehicle. They had a private investigator who says he's an accident reconstructionist. They didn't want to buy the story because I told you the whole time they were trying to convince me and tell me with the hard hat and all this. It's been here for 30 days. Been here for 30 days. 30 days. They were been here for 30 days. What else? They were stuck on this 30-day thing. But then my investigators show evidence that it's planted. Planted vehicle, damage don't match the terrain. There's 46 in this cycle. Nobody can crank a vehicle line on the side for 46 times, and then passenger seat holding the gas pedal or the brake pedal down and cranking it 46 times, trying to anyway or whatever. They're doing that with one hand. And I mean, this all this stuff, this ludicrous stuff, crazy stuff, right? Evidence, proof. Also, the fact the rancher said wasn't there 2 days prior, and also the eyewitness account of somebody seeing a vehicle fitting that description 2 days prior as well, right? That I'm telling you about. So they didn't like none of that. That's how I took it. Buckeye did not like none of that. They shut down for enough time, a month and a half, got their own private investigator. I don't know what kind of conversation they had with this guy, but he's supposed to be a really good one, Santan something Recon or whatever the name is. And he's supposed to be in a good one. But he subscribed to a department who do something like that, right? This guy have never seen Dane's vehicle, never put his hands on it, never physically touched it. Didn't even come ask me, Mr. Robinson, can we take a look at this vehicle, examine it for what your investigator found? None of that. Zero. Nothing. But for you guys' sake, wrote a full report how this damage on this vehicle matched terrain, basically. It came from this direction, which is ludicrous the way he pointed out the direction the vehicle was supposed to came from. It had a full rollover, no roof damage, but it had a full rollover, and that the 11 additional miles, he said, the expert said, Chief Hall, you see it on CNN, said, the expert said that the way I'm saying the way I take it, you guys, and he said it like this, but this is why I take it. The expert said he went to Jeep dealership down the street down there, and he tapped on the janitor's shoulders, and then he said, hey, can sometimes that 11 additional mile not match the computer, blah, blah, blah. And that janitor said, yeah, that happens all the time. And he said, yeah, that happens all the time. Put it in a report, right? Because he said he the expert went to Jeep and asked them, the Jeep dealership, asked them, sometimes the dominant don't match the dominant don't match the black box data, right? Basically. And he said, yeah, it happens. It's not unusual. It happens all the time. But you guys, the note part was the argument I had with the Buckeye Police Department and his investigator was if he was really serious about the finding of that data, he would have went to the Jeep manufacturers itself, or he would have been looking for some recalls of that. Because I'm tell you why. Can you imagine in this case, and I turn around and want to go sue Jeep because their Jeep did not provide the correct answers to some information that about my son's Jeep that could solve a case. And I said that's the negligence on Jeep, the manufacturer's part, because their data do not match their computer on their dashboard, don't match their computer, right? There's no recalls on that vehicle for that. I looked it up, trust me. And they know if they would have called those manufacturers I was trying to do myself, they would say, no, it always match. And if you guys do it yourself, I'm sure you will find that. Jeep would say, well, Jeep is not the company that makes the vehicle. Chrysler, I think it was, would tell you it always match. We don't have any recalls on that. But Buckeye, because they really had this guy to match what they wanted for day one to say it's been there for 30 days, made a report, and then the media run off with it. And things like that gets on my nerves, man. That's what be running me nuts. They run off with it and say, well, they got the expert they own that said XYZ. But that expert they have named is seen that he never touched it, smell it, taste it, or anything. But he made a full report of something he never seen a day in his life. Didn't examine the damage, didn't measure nothing, anything. So the fact is, what I'm saying is that is negligence on law enforcement part. They have a lot of negligence in my son's case. They broke the chain of custody to you name it. To be honest with you, I'm eventually gonna pull up lawsuits against the Buckeye Police Department, but that's coming in the future. Probably shouldn't be saying it here, but it's happening. The thing is, we have more questions. If anybody have those, I will answer those. And if I missed it on Instagram, I apologize. I do see one there. Let's see here. I'll get you on. Jim, the GMB. Question. Do you have any idea of Daniel's timeline from when he started his day to when he went missing? Yeah, I do. And like I said, it's a lot of things that are very contradictory when it comes to that day. Because when you go with, they had this app that I found on Daniel's phone. I went through his phone and I found this app, something law enforcement should have done. I found this thing called Mile IQ app, right? And so the Mile IQ app will show a lot of contradictory stuff at first, right? So it shows that somehow, I don't know, it's like his vehicle, again, it goes along with that Google thing I was telling you about. His vehicle is hanging around that area for whatever reason. It don't go along with the coincide with the fact that my son, with the Waffle House incident with my son and my daughter, you guys know about that part. It don't coincide with that. It don't coincide with the fact that he went to the Shell station that kind of shows the vehicle this way, over here somewhere, then over here at the same time. Then you got to look at the fuel purchase, and that's another thing. Law enforcement have it in their report about this. I think it's $3 or something. They put there. I went back over my son's bank statements the other day to make sure verify all the stuff again. That charge don't even exist, what they claiming of. And then the vehicle, that it's funny how Buckeye don't want to accept this picture and says blurry or whatever that Tony gave to me and they know about. But at the same time, saying this blurry picture of this gas pump with a vehicle that's sitting there to me, who knows if it's Dan's vehicle or not, or anybody's vehicle from that standpoint. If you guys see the picture, I'll share that too. To say he was at this pump and what pump number was that, that type of stuff. And none of that stuff matches with his bank statement. So when I look at the question you're asking about the timeline, it's all messed up. It's all messed up because things don't make sense. It also don't make sense that Ken said that my son met him at 9 o'clock, right? Met him at 9 o'clock. Well, they made it to the well site at 9 o'clock. He was going at 9:15. But my son was asking for directions at 9 something, but his last message that he sent to ask for directions and then he ended up making a phone call, and that phone call came at 9:28. So two can't be true. He can't be leaving the well site at 9:15, but making a phone call to Ken at 9:28, right? So those things, and then I hear my now one thing my investigator, and I say he did a very good job when it comes to this vehicle and all the stuff, but we didn't end our relationship on a good term. And I heard him say something on the show the other night, and he said this was the last message that Daniel sent on his phone ever, right? But that's not true because Daniel was asking for directions about this location to get to this place. He also, last text message, when it comes to that message, they claiming that Daniel wrote to this girl that y'all gonna see on that show. You look on that bank statement, his phone record, it don't even match his phone record, that timeline. If you look at that timeline on his, I will compare these things to you guys eventually. But look at the phone record, which don't show you the exact text words, right? But it show you the timestamp. And then the stuff that Buckeye claimed they got off this girl's phone that she uploaded herself at that. That's the crazy part about it, guys. It was something they went on her phone and got these text messages. They sent her to, I think, evidence.com or something to the effect. And they told her she could upload her own information in this thing or something to them. And so when you look at it, it starts off with, if you were to look at the what on the police record, it's just even on the police report, it says Daniel said XYZ and it had a time, date, and stamp right at the top. And then it say at 3:45, I'm even making up something. 3:45, Daniel said XYZ. Then it'll probably say like, well, 3:50, Caitlin said this. Then it say 3:52, Daniel said this. You get the point I'm trying to make. That's how that thing was typed. But when it comes to this weird stuff that they claim that Daniel said, it don't sound like him. They don't have a timestamp. It's almost like from that point, they just put it in there, write it in there, write it in there, write it in there. Look at that report really good and see what I'm talking about. So, having said that, that made me puzzle and say, okay, well, let me look at this phone record and do those comparisons. My daughter did it. And we see a lot of conversation between those two in that time frame that is not even there, first of all. The other part, the timestamps of it, what they saying on the report, do not coexist with the actual phone record. Well, like again, on his phone record, don't show what he said, but the timestamps versus what they got on the report, where they say claim is on her phone, don't actually go along with on his phone record on his side. So the other part is the hearsay stuff that was there from the Buckeye Police Department, the hearsay and things like that. So when it comes to the timelines and things like that with Buckeye, I have a lot of questions. The timeline when it came to Ken, saying 9 o'clock, and then he changed the story. Somebody changed the story. You got to still really look at the story really good. He told Officer Cruz and another officer, the first Officer Cruz asked him the day of, right? So fresh in your mind, fresh. That's the first thing. That's why law enforcement a lot of times, investigative-wise, would like to go with a person's first word on things because it's fresh in your mind. You miss no times up. You know what happened, right? So 9 o'clock, 9:15, you gone. And then after a little while, he even told me when I came to Arizona, first person I was looking for as a father, you're not going to tell me, this is how I am, my attitude. No man is going to tell me that my son said this or act this way that's contradictory to what I know about my son. He going to have to look me dead in my eye and tell me that with his own mouth. So that's why I went to go meet with Ken, right? I got video pictures of that, took notes and everything. And you can see that through the pictures, and that's evidence. Law enforcement don't want to put that in their report because it's contradictory to this 30-day thing, or anything else. But anyway, timeline. It don't match. Everything he put up there, it do not match. So it don't match with a lot of stuff. He changed the story once. After I came to talk to him, he told me that exact timeline, 9:15. Telling everybody 9:15. Then all of a sudden he changed it. Oh, after the 9:28, the phone call, I'm sure I thought about probably looking at the phone or something. Oh, well, it was 9:30. He left off 9:30, or we went to the well site 9:30, changed it to 9:30. So I guess that way it could fit in. Then Buckeye says if he even if he met at 9:30, Buckeye said his vehicle was in a ravine at, I think it was 9 something, almost 10 o'clock or something. was in this ravine right here, sitting there this whole time for 30 days. And go back to the Mile IQ app. Is the Mile IQ app? They try to utilize that to say, yes, that's where the vehicle is at, right? And so the guy named Charlie, I'm not gonna put his full name out there, but Charlie was the guy who runs that app. And he told me himself, this app cannot be used for that because it's inaccurate. It can be inaccurate, it can do this, that, blah, blah. And so Buckeye is hanging their head on an app that's inaccurate. You cannot even be admissible in court because of that. And it don't add up with the timeline or anything. And the evidence of everything, the damage on the vehicle, and you name it, everything. But it gave them something that they can hang their head on to say, aha, we were trying to tell you it's been 30 days. We want to keep it there for 30 days for whatever reason. So again, that's why I'm going to hang my hat on, is that I know that it's not. Okay, let me see this question I have. I heard somebody, it's not, guys, if you had a question, okay, this said the Pope is a very highly suspicious person, ask him for help. Superstitious person. I don't know who this is, but thanks so much for your question or your comment. I have a person asking, let's see what it was, I missed it. Does the show have a date yet? The American Most Wanted, I guess you're asking about, is already running every Monday. American Most Wanted, Missing Persons on Fox. And you can watch it also on Hulu. But yeah, y'all need to check it out. Not just for Daniel, but for many other cases too. Let me see. Question here from Jim B again. Question, my husband is an engineer and has used GPR. Would you be willing to have him help walk you through that process? Do you have sites you want to search with GPR? We can help with it. Oh, yes, definitely. Please, I will put that information on the bottom of my screen where you can reach out to me. And I can tell you sometimes I'm really slow at being able to get, I put the wrong one, I think. Yes, here we go. Slow at sometimes because I have so much influx of things, but I would definitely get back with you on that too. But yeah, definitely I would love to be able to have that help and figure out, learn more about that. So yes, thank you. I think, guys, I'm getting to jump off really quick. I've been on for 2 hours now. And I do have one other question. Have you spoken with the FBI in your home state? No, I have not in my home state, but I have with in Phoenix, Arizona. I asked for I asked the FBI to come into the case, Daniel case, twice, but also personally, I had death threats, guys, and this sad part to talk about, but a father going out to search for a son just before the vehicle showed up. I started having death threats, working out in the desert. And so, no, matter of fact, I want to take that back. That's right after the vehicle showed up, because that's when my investigator talked me into carrying, a weapon with me all the time at that point. But yes, I had death threats, and I went to them about that. The FBI didn't want to do anything other the fact to say, when I mentioned my son's case, you got to go through Buckeye first. Buckeye reached out to us, and then but they did take a report, but they told me they wouldn't do anything since I have a case with Buckeye for my son. Go to Buckeye first, then Buckeye called them, I guess, chain the thing. I did that, and Buckeye threw it on the rug again. What they do, threw the death threats under the rug. My investigator tried his best to find out who these persons were. They're using burner phones and all kind of stuff, spook email addresses and all kind of things. The FBI field office, when I was able to get what I wanted is a case briefing. I asked Chief Hall at the time for a case briefing in my son's case, get Buckeye Police Department involved. He agreed to do that, sent him a letter. He agreed to do it. I was really happy. I told people about it on my family press conference. And hold on a second, you guys. Did on a family press conference and telling my family about it. I don't tell my family a whole lot of things. I'm out there. I'm a sole person doing a lot. I got an 18, but I'm a sole person doing a lot for my son's case. And so I share what I can with my family, and but I didn't tell him anything until I was sure. Chief Hall at times said, "Yeah, you're gonna get the FBI to do a case brief," and I was really excited. Talked to my attorney at the time, and I had her to immediately respond back to him, let me be a part when they get this case briefing set. I need to be a part. She said, we as me and her, but if they don't want her to be there because she's an attorney, Mr. Robinson need to be there, right? So we did that same day. Now, Chief Hall didn't respond back to that message, that request, but they hit me back a couple of days later, just like they did with their website. He said, yeah, Detective Biff. Oh, yeah, we had a case briefing, by the way, after the fact. Because I remember talking to my attorney. I was telling her how I said, did they get back with you yet? Because I want them to have this without me. And she said, well, give them a couple of days, give them some time, because they got to go talk to the FBI and I guess get things set up. That's what we was thinking. No, them jokers doing the undercut. When they had it without me, because they knew what I would have said. They didn't do anything. Again, they didn't find any hands in front of their face. They didn't find no human remains. They didn't find the red transfer paint. They didn't find the less additional miles. They didn't find the 46 inertial cycles. They ain't found the 1 o'clock crash time of the day when the vehicle crashed. They didn't find anything. We did. My investigator and myself, my investigation. So they know I would say that to the FBI. And we really need the FBI involved in the fact that this vehicle was found in close proximity to federal lands, BLM land, Bureau of Land Management. So I got the message back from Detective Biff. He said exactly what he told me. He said, yeah, we had a case briefing, and the FBI said, I'll tell you, I got this, guys. The FBI said, you, Mr. Robinson, do such a great job on your own. We don't need to come in. That's what he told me that they said. And I felt offended. First of all, I felt embarrassed. I felt offended because I already told the public, telling my family that the FBI is into my son's case. And turns out, no. That was the explanation. I'm doing a better job than the FBI, doing my own investigation, my own searches out there for my son. They didn't need to come in. That hurt me, man. It hurt me bad. So what ended up happening, after some time, I have my friend, team member, Mr. Farmer again, always come to rescue, former law enforcement officer. He found out who this FBI field agent was. This agent is, and so I went to go get an appointment set up with him to talk to him about this case briefing. What the Buckeye Police Department talked to him about, or what information I can get, and give him and take of myself. And so he agreed, this agent, to come up there. So we went up to the field office. He and I. They have this security station, you could say. And so we had to go get checked in. Guy brought us into the building, the security building. It's like a little small building. But the building itself, the FBI building, is behind it, the security. And so they didn't let us in the building. They just let us in the security shed. And we sat there and waited on this guy. He showed up with like 2 armed guards with him, his agent. And when I literally, again, sound like what happened to Buckeye to me when I first went to the police department, when they yell at me for asking for Detective Biffin. I said, my name is David. As soon as I can say David, I couldn't put the Robinson out real good. And he started yelling at me. I know who you are. It got really ugly. To make a long story short, I promise you guys, I feared for my life in that FBI office that day, of that security thing. I thought I was going to get shot that day over something I don't know what was going on, his attitude or whatever the case may be. That's what I felt. I felt very threatened. And he was talking about how good of a job that Buckeye's done and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Right? And so we left there with no answers. Make a long story. There's a little more details, and then I'm going to leave that out for now. But that's the initial, when you asked about the FBI, that I had with the experience I had with them. So I went to the Justice Department and everything else, and I ended up having a meeting with one of the attorney generals and something into that. We had lunch and stuff and talk about things, and they're trying to look into some stuff. But In Daniel's case, I haven't gotten a lot so far to this day, but I heard the second time the FBI said it was coming into Daniel's case, and I have to this day. If you know, and what's the most horrible part about the whole scenario? If the FBI ever been involved with my son's case, could you imagine with and I hate to bring this up, and I don't want to because they're friends of mine, but another family, I'm gonna say it like this, another family, and they deserve to have the outreach of law enforcement presence in their cases, right? National case, FBI, everybody's involved, right? But could you imagine the FBI was involved in their loved one's case and didn't even come to them at all to say nothing to them? That's exactly what's been happening in Dan's case from day one. I went to them that time, got yelled at, and to this day, if they ever even peeked into Dan's case, I haven't not one representative from the FBI reach out to me. As a matter of fact, I talked to a guy. He was the head. He became a head of the FBI department in Phoenix. I reached out to him. His Akil something. Akil is his name. Something Akil something. And I reached out to him, and I got through one time, and then the phone hung up. Call again. The woman answered the phone, and she said this one thing. She said, "You'll never speak to him." That's how she put it, pretty much. And since then, she was right. It never happened, no matter how much I tried. Never happened. So I see it as they wasn't willing to help either in Daniel's case. Will this live be available for us to rewatch? Yes, if you want to watch this live again, YouTube channel, please help find Daniel. Let's see what else. I think YouTube probably be your best bet because it's always there. Sometimes I put it on Facebook. It'll be on the please help find Daniel Facebook because Instagram won't let you have a very long video, especially this one going on 3 hours. But yes, try Facebook or definitely YouTube. Please help find Daniel YouTube channel. Let's see. Question: do you know how many death threats the FBI looks at? I do not know. I don't know, but I know they didn't look at mine. That's the only thing I can tell you that. And the FBI worries about important people. Yeah, but all Americans are important people. And thank you so much for the comment, Mary. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. David, in Jesus' name. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Amen to you. And let me see here. I think I've seen it all. I think you guys have all the questions. I think we've done with all the questions. And guys, if you see any derogatory things on the chats, I apologize. I don't have a moderator today. Normally I have my moderators there on my lives, and I just sprung this live up so they didn't have time to prepare. But using my moderators will be able to control the I'll put this user in timeout for right now, but they control the thing for me. So I'm sorry for the person I had to put in timeout, but I had to put them in timeout. They're doing some really derogatory things. Let me see here. I think that's it, you guys. I just want to put out this really quick, guys. I had to put this up, and this is one of the reasons I kind of lost track of what I really came on this live to about as well, is to talk about this Candlelight Vigil. And guys, I know many of y'all can't be there, but the ones who are in Arizona can be there, or if you can't be there, I have like one family want to travel to get there. This is going to be an event I'm putting together to really help families, not just my family, but to definitely bring awareness for the Missing America crisis that we have, to bring officials there, put them on the spot, and bring officials there to do something, especially in states like Arizona who have high missing person cases. We have here in South Carolina. Even in South Carolina, I was pulling up something, and South Carolina we have over 400 people missing currently in one state, right? But overall, we get over 600,000. Close last year was on 500, so almost 600,000. But generally, 600,000 Americans go missing every year in this country. 3,000 a day, 2,000 of which are mostly children. We have all 40% of all missing person cases, missing American cases are people of color, and Black Americans only make up 13-14% of the population. We have indigenous Americans going missing, especially women and children, going at disproportionate rates, and nobody's talking about it. So what I'm saying is these things are important, and my job is to not only as a father who have a missing son, but a human being, American citizens, and also a person who's running for U.S. Congress. It's my job to make sure I do whatever I can, everything I can to help people in this situation, and do everything I can to find solutions to curb a lot of these missing. Though we have a lot of people that get recovered, whether they're deceased or we find these loved ones alive, or whatever the case may be. Some just went on their own will to be missing. Some being recovered from things like human trafficking and things like that. We still have a big, significant amount of people that go missing, like my son, have never been found. We have a lot of unidentified bodies out there. The system that can be streamlined even better, even more so, to be able to find out who these loved ones belong to and things like that. So we got a lot. We got a lot of things to accomplish, and that's my job to do that. So I'm going to share screens with you guys. Please help find Daniel.com website. You guys can go to that website. Please help find Daniel.com. And on this website, of course, I'm done with the desert searches for since April the 12th. And I want to say, I have to, from that search, keep my son's story out there. First of all, it is going on 4 years my sons have been missing. I definitely want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to bring light and keep his story from being a cold case status, because it's not cold case until law enforcement do what they need to do. And I keep forgetting. I'm going to have to talk to you guys about that too. I'm getting ready to talk to you guys about how the updates that I have in Daniel's case that should have been highlighted during the desert search on April the 12th should have been highlighted more on this American Most Wanted thing I see. Should have been highlighted more on the local media that we have in Arizona that got overshadowed by certain things. I'm gonna say those things, and everything I'm saying is not being critical, but what I'm saying is very important for a family. And I'm not gonna alienate and nobody else to say nobody's trying, or because many people out here trying, and I'm suspecting everybody are. But what I'm saying is I have been out here from day one. My son went missing, drove 2,000 miles to go find my son, started my own investigation, started my own searches, from desert searches to city searches, flyer distributions, to put flyers all across this country, to putting billboards. I'm not bragging about it. What I'm saying is the work that's have been put, following leads, you name it. I can just think of stuff on top of my head. All this work, running for Congress, to having these events like I'm trying to put together now, to you name it. And then all of that get overshadowed by things that should have been talked about. The importance of Dan's case is not just a case of, say, my son would miss us under suspicious circumstances, but also should be saying it's a case that has so many dynamics there, where it comes to, first of all, he's a missing person of color, and the disparities that I'm actually living in real time. You guys know how many times I get offended by certain things I have to deal with when it comes to media. Media will say we're going to help with the disparities, but then at the same time they'll do those disparities while not doing the disparities. It's kind of weird when I say this, and I can explain it to you guys one day soon. But what I have been seeing is that, it's almost that explicit bias that you're not really catching on their own actions to say, okay, I'm doing everything I can to curb this disparities, but then they do a disparity within that disparity of trying to curb it, right? And so what I'm saying, I'm living it in real time. I'm living in real time where I had to go out, and I hear people say to me all the time, well, you had collected a lot of money, right? They go with money issue. And they say you did all this, but they never ever understand that when you look at a case that had national attention, and I'm not going to mention names again, and they spend $1 million, one case they spend $1 million in one day, this law enforcement. The other time they spend $1 million or $2 million within a few days. We spent $300,000 in going on 4 years. So that's really spreading money very thin if you look at the scheme of things on desert searches to everything I have been doing. So the margins, if you look at it in the way the law enforcement had to spend and what I had to spend, I did very well, and I thank God for that. So what I'm saying is, I'm looking at some of the things that I've been seeing and I'm hearing, and I want to put out there to the public. And the focus is not on the most important things, but it's going to be the focus on whatever bring us more. I'm talking about media. What bring us more eyes, attention to us or something. To how I want to put it, ratings or whatever the case may be. No, these are real live people. My son is a real live person. He's a human being. On the show American Most Wanted Missing Persons, every case you see on there are real people. I'm pointing at nowhere, you guys. Real people in real time, real families who got pain and anguish, just like me. I mean, like I was saying, we're nobody unique. My family. It happens every day. It's happening right now as I'm speaking. Nobody unique, other than the fact to say that when it comes to reporting stories, I know what I've been doing. I can't speak for nobody else's family and people who they are, but I know what I've been doing as a father for 4 years. I haven't been on no vacations. People that know me personally will tell you, David will be on a vacation every year. And I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you my drive patterns, but I can tell you I'll be on the beach every year with my foot in the water somewhere. And certain things I like to do, go and see family and stuff like that. Last time I've been on vacations before COVID, because we had the stay at home thing, and I haven't been on vacation because when I get ready to start doing that, we start finally getting comfortable with taking our mask off and go do things. My son went missing. I had to wear a mask coming up here, go look for my son. And it went missing. I haven't been on a vacation since. Nothing. No kind of. So when people look at it and say, oh, you on some kind of vacation and you got some GoFundMe money and like somehow, like I guess, got money in the bank somewhere. No, we $70,000 in debt. I worked really hard for all of this, right? And not one time have been on a vacation. Not one time. None of this. You think this? What I'm doing right now, talking to you guys, still fighting for my son, trying to put a search together, trying to put this event together. This event is not for me. I'm gonna put this up. This event is not for me. It's for my son. It's for all the missing Americans. Say families of missing Americans are encouraged to sign up. It's for everybody. But what I'm doing, running for Congress, all the stuff I do, it ain't for me. Because anybody can tell you if I had my way right now, I would have rather been on the beach. I'm a water person. I'd rather be on the beach somewhere, swimming on the ocean, something, taking a scuba diving lesson or something. I don't know. I'm a water person. I'm opposite of my son. My son is a desert person. I'm a water person. So I'd rather be doing that any day right now than to be doing all of this. I really would. But because I've seen a need and I love my son, first of all, then I've seen a need and I sacrificed my own life to do it. So when I ask you guys these things, I really mean it. I'd be needing help, right, to do it. So again, to put this up, I lost the page I was on. But anyway, to put this up, please have finddanny.com. What I did was, you've probably been on the page before, and I changed some stuff up. I'm going to go back here again. Sign a petition. Most important thing, donate. I need donations. Events tab, this will have the American Son right now. I didn't put it on Eventbrite yet, but it will be on that tab. It's not there yet. Flyer request, guys. It costs money, but you guys can request flyers for free. You can print them out yourself to help with funding. Volunteer in other ways tab. Volunteer the search tab. I don't have any searches right now. Come down on the page here. You do see David's Corner. David was David's Corner. David on the mic. There's a new podcast I'm getting ready to start. You guys will be seeing that too. Because I'm running for office. I want to talk about missing Americans. I want to do some other little things. So that's what that's going to be about. Everything. David on the mic is talk about everything. You come down further, you see, please help find Daniel official merchandise. I started this with that company too. I thought about it. I said, I wish I would do this a long while ago. Somebody suggested that to me. I wanted to be able to get funding for this Candlelight Vigil. I keep going on GoFundMe asking everybody, can you donate? Donate. One thing I hate to do the most is ask people to donate. But I know I have to. And so I do that. But at the same time, I have people asking for these shirts. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this so you guys can see this. asking for these shirts. Me and my team, we were always wearing Daniel's shirts. Please help find Daniel's shirts. And a lot of people's asking for it. And so I got these black ones, different colors. We have white ones. And for people to be able to get these shirts, right? I would love to give it to you guys free. But I found out there was a good opportunity to say, hey, look, I kind of add everything else I need for funding wise when it comes to this Candlelight Vigil. And I think this is a good way of doing it if I take the advice. And the way to do that is to provide these shirts. And if you guys would buy one of these shirts, or I wouldn't say buy, really it's like more like a donation the way this website works for me. Bonfire, it's in the form of a donation, but you get a t-shirt, right? And so the donation has to be, for instance, this one is $39.99. And I set these prices on that because the way that the prices set will help me get the funding I need for this Candlelight Vigil. So if I get people to actually purchase these shirts, first of all, you have these shirts that people are asking for, the front and back, that you have the shirts for. But at the same time, it helping me get Daniel's name out there, his story out there. Is the flyer, just like the flyer, you guys wearing these shirts out there, it helps with that. The other part is to help me get this search going. I mean, this Candlelight Visual going. The same thing is with, let's see if I can go back on this page. I believe I go down. Same thing with the Candlelight Visual. I really taken in the faith that I will have the funding to actually go forward. I already set everything up to go forward, but I need more so the funding. American Sun, Candlelight Vigil, I put the missing date that Daniel went missing, but I didn't put a date here. Let's say I don't get the funding I think I need, I could easily make this a virtual event. And I don't want it to be a virtual event. I want it to be an in-person event. I did a virtual event last year. I want to do a person event because I think it's very much needed to try to help other families to get their stories out there, to provide the resources they need. I think I'm showing you guys, I think I have you on the page. I apologize to everyone. I'm talking and I don't even have you on the page. Let's see if I can get this back right. I apologize, you guys. I'm at the start all over. So, okay, let me go back. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Okay, there we go. Let me go back. I had to start all over, you guys. I apologize. I'm sitting there, I haven't looked down at the screen and I didn't change you guys over. But what I was saying is, again, if you guys heard everything I was saying, you can at least really understand what I was going at. I started this page here again to raise funding for this upcoming Candlelight Vigil. Again, this is the shirt, so you guys can see it again. I was going through it. And I thought you guys were looking at what I was looking at, but you guys wasn't. So I apologize for that. But this is the shirts. People's asking for them. We have the white shirts. My team and I, when we go out on Candlelight, we go out to the Candlelight Visuals. We go out to the city searches. This is what we wear. We didn't wear these in the desert, but we wear them in the city search. But the ones we had was white shirts. Not like this one, but there's the white t-shirts. But these were in multiple different colors. But these are the shirts, the same design and everything. What I say again, you guys purchase these shirts. What it is a donation. The way I have this with Bonfire is a form of donation. Donation. You guys donate for the shirt for the cost there is, I think it was $39.99. I set the price $33.99. I set the price in that way to see the budget I need for this whole entire Candlelight Visual. The things I need to do to get it together and make it really nice for the families and try to really encourage some of these officials to be there. So the fact is, this will be the shirt to help out. You guys can purchase the shirt. Is to be a donation purchase to go towards helping me get this Candlelight Vigil going. Also, the shirt again, I will show you. That's for the people who want those shirts because some people's asking for those over and over again. They're trying to see us wear them, and so I went ahead and put these on shirts. But this is one for the Candlelight Vigil again. For those who want to come out to the visual, you can wear these, but they don't. You notice they don't have the Candlelight Vigil date on it. It's because, like I said, if I can't get the proper funding I need to make this happen, I can easily convert it to a virtual, which I'm hoping not to make it a virtual because I really want to be there in person to be able to pull an event to make a difference. Because when I can do it in person, it actually that draws media coverage. because I know I can get that. And I want to make this thing huge to a point where it's making a statement about the missing American crisis, what I'm really doing, why I'm doing it, and also it gives these families who necessarily wouldn't have a voice on a platform, they would have this platform to utilize. So again, that's what it's for, to help families get that platform they deserve to be able to tell their story. And so that's what I'm really trying to put together. I'm really trying to, again, try to even get celebrities involved with this. So again, please help finddaniel.com website. Let's see if I can get back on that, back to the website. I probably messed that up. Let's see. Please help find Daniel website, and go into the website, and you can scroll down, and you can see that information down here for the search. You can click on anywhere on this button here area. But still, even with this, you guys, do not forget about the mail-in protest. You come further down on the page, got the mail-in protest. Please need you guys to continue to do that, to the Buckeye Police Department, to the Maricopa Sheriff Office, to keeping Danny's case from becoming a cold case. This is something you guys just do. You look at it, you just print these PDFs out and mail them in. So that helps out a whole lot. I really, really need you guys, if you can do that. That'll help out tremendously. Let's see what else before I get out of here. I believe that's it, you guys. I don't think I have anything else I want to share with you guys, but please, guys, you also got to say, if you don't want to get shirts, you also can still donate. So if you can donate tab here, take you to GoFundMe to help with that as well. So all this will go to GoFundMe. Even the shirt purchases will go towards that as well. So I really appreciate it if you guys could do that. Again, I'm Dave Robinson, the father of geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson. I want to say thank you so much for joining us live. I think I'm done with the questions. I don't think I've seen any more questions. I need to check one more time with you on Instagram. If I miss your question, I apologize, because sometimes it scrolls up and then I miss it. What's the name of the podcast? Excuse me. What's the name of the podcast? I think it's simply. Oh, yeah, there you go, Regina. How you doing? So I definitely know who you are. What's the name of the podcast and what platform is it on? If you're mentioning my new podcast, it would be David's on the mic. I think that was you speaking of. It'll be on YouTube. I'll be doing it just like here too. It'll be on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. And thank you, Regina. I got your message as well. Thank you so much. But yeah, it'll be on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, just like it is right now. I'll be doing the same platform, same way, utilizing StreamYard. But yeah, like I said, I'll be talking about a lot of subjects and things like that at the same time. I'll also be talking about my congressional run, you name it, everything. A little bit about myself, personal, you name it, David on the mic, a combination of everything. But I also will be doing this. We'll be doing this Candlelight Vigil. So I'll be doing the Please Help Find Daniel, like I am right now, live podcasts and things. I'll try to keep doing this every so often. I'll share more information with you guys, those who missed it. And I'll share a little bit about Daniel's case that you guys have never heard about, some things in public. You guys will be getting that too. So I'll be talking about that from the next coming on up to the Candlelight Vigil, because I think a lot of stuff is very important to gain more support in Daniel's case, is to expose some of the things that law enforcement left behind. So, oh yeah, before I go, I almost forgot again. I would have got off here and forgot the updates in Daniel's case that should have been put out there. One thing for sure, and I want to start this way, and I want to say, look, when you have a missing American person in your life, a missing person, period, and I can tell you one thing: you meet a lot of families, and a lot of times tragedy brings people together. I have seen. I told you guys, I'm not making it up. 200 some people more show up in the desert, strangers. I remember my first search to the last so far, and every time I'm always amazed. Every time I show up in my searches, and I see all these cars show up, right? All these people from all over, from every walk of life. Some from California, some from over here, some over there, a lot from Arizona, of course. But everybody had this one thing in common: searching for geologist Daniel Cornelius Robinson, American scientist, somebody's son, another fellow American. You can say, I don't know, whatever their thoughts is, their process is in their mind when they come out there, right? Spending their gas money, their time, their weekends, weekdays, some, and I mean, you name it. Out there in that hot sun in the city. City's hot too. On the corners and restaurants and everything we was doing out there. Giving out flyers. But people show up, right? And that's huge. That's huge. That's story. That's story, right? But news media wouldn't put it out as much as it should be, as how many people we hear everything that's happened with politics and people. I kind of laugh. I can't say, and I know a lot of you, and I hope I don't lose nothing because it has nothing to do with Daniel, outside the fact this is something describing what I want to do to help other families and stuff. I'm a Democratic candidate, and I am. I have Democratic values, but I am also an American soldier. I'm an American father, you name it, right? But what I was saying, I say that to say is that I say this to, we have our meetings sometimes, and I say to the Democrats, right? What I don't like when I did a town hall for a Republican incumbent that he had a town hall he didn't show up to, right? And I took his place. They knew he was going to show up. They had a feeling. The Republicans hadn't been showing up to this, and I'm not making this a political thing. What I'm saying is that I had to stand in the place, and I showed up for these people who need it, right? So long story short, I did this town hall, and I remember while I was thinking, and I talked to some Democrats, say, look, we kind of separate ourselves. We can forget that we're Americans. We're people who have common things that's going on. When I talk to families who got missing loved ones, nobody's a Democrat or Republican or whatever, religious things or whatever the case may be, nothing, right? And we become like this family, like we become family, like a club that we all are part of. We don't really want to be a part of, but we become family. And I say that to say, when I talk to people, I say we separate ourselves like it's, I kind of laugh when I say it. That's why I keep seeing me smile. It's like when you think about the Democrats and Republicans, for instance, right? They become like the Bloods and the Crips. So like we wear the blue and y'all wear the red and we don't talk to each other or something. It's crazy to me. So long story short, I couldn't imagine that happening when I was out in that desert, and I came out there and they looked at me and say, he looked like one of those liberals or something. And then I had like 2 people show up at a search, and I'm trying to search that desert by myself, right? No, I had 200 people would show up there, and I promise you, I do the safety briefing. I talk to the families. We all out there in the hot sun. People, like I say, spending their money, time, and not one time somebody cared about if you was a Democrat or Republican. Nobody cared about if you was white or black. Nobody cared about what religion you was, if you is wearing anything, right? Whatever the case may be, right? And we all was out there, and I look at people, and it makes you feel like you want to. If I was a crying man, you feel like you want to cry, because you look at people who will sit there and look at you, and they're ready to do whatever. I remember this last search I had, the 50th search here. After I tried to close it off, I closed it off because I'm worried about the volunteers, make sure they're safe. It's hot. It gets hot, right, this time of the year. And no, we're ready to keep going. We want to go. Where else we need to go now? Where we going next? No, we got to end the search. First of all, we had to get out because I had Buckeye out there. But I'm saying that's how people's mindset are. They don't know me. When I say don't know me, they probably saw on television or heard about it. They don't know me. They don't know Daniel. But people's out there, right? So that's the stories that I don't hear about media talk about, right? So that's why I want to highlight that, first of all. And I'm grateful. I'll just say all that to say I'm grateful for everybody who comes out there to help me from day one, whether you donate to whatever you do. Give me encouraging words. I can go right here on the timeline right now and see how many people say something nice. You know how much that is? I remember in the military, we always talk about keeping our morale up. We have to keep that morale up to fight for this country. We have to keep our morale up. we lose soldiers left and right, but somehow we got to keep our morale up, and we do that. I want to say the other part is to the search on I'm starting with April the 12th. April 12th search was something that was really hard for me to do mentally. It needed to be done based on a tip I had, 2 tips. And then it was also based on an area that I was unable to search when I was doing the searches already, 35,000 acres of land. At the time, it was 49 weeks there's searches. And we still had an area that I couldn't search. And I feel really, your mind is not at ease because you didn't get to search the area. And so I had all these things going on, right? And I remember it was in November, and I just said, you know what, I'm going to put a search this spring. I didn't know how I was going to get the funding to do it after all the time. How many people was going to try to help out or anything, right? But you got to go out and walk on faith on a lot of stuff a lot of times. So I just went and did the search. Make a long story, you guys showed up and you helped me, right? And so I was able to, as the days got closer, I was able to find a date to put this whole thing together, call my team up, and tell them, hey, this is what we're going to do. And so I think for me was when the story that wasn't put out there is, first of all, it didn't dawn on me until I got there, and I was doing the safety briefing. And in safety briefing, I always say what week of search this is. And so when I had to say that, it dawned on me and said, this is the 50th search, 50th search. And then when I was looking out there, I have not seen, this is one thing I noticed when I was looking at everybody, I have not seen so many cameras on me in a sense. I mean, when I say this, people had these cell phones and they had their, I guess, I don't know, podcasters or whatever, but a lot of people out there with their cameras and stuff. And then they had the media, news media and stuff like that. But I want to back up a little bit because before the search was actually finalized, I got a call from Mr. Petito, good friend of mine. We've been friends, like I said, again, we're on a club that none of us want to be a part of, but we are. He tragically lost his daughter, Gabby, and it still hurts me every time I think about it. But I'll tell you the beautiful part about the family is that fact that they have been taking that pain and doing stuff. They started Gabby Petito Foundation and it's kept going, right? So being a friend, we constantly talk here and there, text or whatever the case may be. And he texted me one day. He's like, "Hey, Dave, I want to come to search, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course, yeah. That's automatic. That made me feel good. It made me felt really good to have my brother. I call him brother too. Come out there and want to help, right?" And he said, "Yeah, you want to come in there? Anything you need me to do, I want to do. I just want to be out there, yeah, of course, but I remember he said, he said, where are we gonna be? Because I'm getting my ticket, right? And I think he asked me that. It had to be in, I want to say it was in January, the first part of January, and I wasn't really getting the full funding that I really need at the time. And so I said, don't buy a ticket yet, man. Don't buy a ticket yet. And I laugh because I have someone right now waiting on the Candlelight Vigil, and I told her the same thing. Don't buy that ticket yet. Just give me some time. I'm gonna get it together. And so he said, okay. So make a long story short, I think he bought it anyway, but so I was happy that he coming out, right? So I think the media got wind of it though, because the first thing Mr. Petito said to me, and I say Mr. Petito out for you guys' sake, because we call each other by the first name. I would say him by his first name, but I'm not gonna do it here. But he first thing he said to me, we was talking on the phone, he said, "I don't want it to be about Gabby though," right? Because he knew that as soon as somebody get wind that he's coming out there to my searches, they'll try to make it all about one thing, right? And what it was for me, though, and he understood this, is the fact that I didn't realize at first it was a 50th search, right? Right. That's one thing for sure. But what I did realize, the fact that we finally have leads. I have been fighting for months, a year, trying to keep Daniel's story out there with the national story, and the news, and all this kind of stuff.
And it's not an easy job. If you guys see the video, if you guys follow me on my personal page, I don't think many of you do, you'll see I put up a video that I did, the podcast with Miss Navarro again. And I say about her a lot. She's a friend of mine, and I thank God her daughter's back with her. And she said on that live is that it's very hard to keep your loved one's story going. It is. So one thing Brianna Whitley say from America's Arizona family, I don't get a news channel right, but she on the Arizona news. Mr. Robinson have a way of doing everything he can to keep the story out there, coming up with different ideas and things. And it's kind of like visual is part of that, right? So you look at it that way too. And I was thinking about that. I said, it is hard to keep your loved one's story out there in the sphere like it is for Daniel. And so when I did that search, I was thinking when I was like, first I was getting weary about it. I said, okay, I'm not getting funding fast enough. I don't think I can do it. And I was scared like I had to pull the plug. And but I kept pushing like I can, right? Because there's a couple things I had to fight. I had to fight myself, and then I had to fight. When I say fight myself, I don't like asking people for nothing. So I had to fight myself, go get past all of that and past all this other stuff, right? What people think or whatever the case may be. And I have people say all kind of stuff about me, but it don't matter. I could take it. I had to defend this one person right here behind the picture, but there's one person behind me. So the thing is, so I knew the search right here to me was huge because it provided one thing. Media was always never want to put Daniel's story back out there again, because when I do talk to people I are really close to, some of the reporters and some of the ones I know now, first thing they'll say before they network and get Daniel's story back on, you got anything new? You got anything new? And that's what it sounded like to me when they say it. They don't say it like that, but that's what it sounds like. You got any updates? You got any updates? Got something new? I guess something new they can, I don't say exploit, but use to get their ratings up or something. I don't know. And I reluctantly had to say no a lot of times. And the reason why a lot of families like ours do not get something new is because law enforcement, if they don't do their job, there will be nothing new. You get what I'm saying? How you get a new update on a case when law enforcement not doing anything? They don't do anything to get it. Again, I would challenge Buckeye Police Department right now to show me one thing they contributed to Daniel's case. One. And they say we did a search or something. Dang right, you're supposed to do a search. That's what you're supposed to do, first of all. Investigative wise, name one thing. Oh, we swapped the steer wheel and shifter. What's the results of that? Show me the comparison that even my son's DNA with that swabbing that you did. Nothing. So what I'm saying is, unless you get law enforcement to do their job, there won't be no new updates in a loved one's case. So anytime you guys heard something new about Dan's case, it's because I worked for it. Now, America's Most Wanted, I'm gonna jump real quick and I'm come back to the search. They said it's an update. You guys go season 1, episode 2. And they said, we got an update in Dan's case. The update came from the search, April the 12th search. What I did is I said, okay, I'm asking people for money. So that means I have to do the search that I really want to do. I know how much it's going to cost me because I looked at my old receipts. I didn't realize I paid a lot so much. I had one coordinator, one of my search guys. He always say to me, Dave, how much money you had spent on those razors and stuff? You could have bought one by now. But anyway, it didn't dawn on me at the time. But he was right. So I knew I needed desert equipment. I look at everything, how much I'd spend and how much money I need GoFundMe wise to get this thing off the ground. And so I was like, okay, couple things I needed to do. I need to get these people something for this Jeep Renegade that I've been housing forever. I need to get the search again, like I said, because it's a 3-part search. I already talked to Buckeye in November last year, who agreed to if I get the search going,
to search a tip that I had out east, which they ended up doing. I thank them for that because we got a new detective on the case. Also, it was the search that I had to go north that I knew I needed to do because based on this tip that I had, I went back over my old things and I found the tip from an elderly couple. We needed that was the line search was based on. Then I had the out west one, again, the area that I couldn't search the last time. I needed to do that really bad, right? Those searches had to happen, right? And I said, okay, how am I gonna get back out to Arizona to do that? So then the last part is because I can't afford housing Daniel's all the forensic stuff. I can't afford that any longer. Can you imagine you guys taking care of home, a younger daughter? I mean, it's all your normal expenses, your own personal self, and then you paying bills in Arizona. 2 different states. Something had to give reluctantly, because you guys imagine you got somebody, you see that on that America's Most Wanted missing persons. What I said to Payne Lindsay, that when I look at Daniel's storage, and I look at his last remaining stuff that he got, right? And if you have to let that go, it's almost feel like you're letting everything go. You're letting him go. Everything that in there, it represents him, who he is as a person, something he left behind, whatever the case may be. And when you have to let it go, that's what it feels like. You're letting him go, right? So it's hard. And then not only that, I wasn't just keeping it for that reason. I also was keeping that stuff because law enforcement would not do the forensics. All the forensic items in those storage units, the airbags, you name it, all that stuff. I had to keep these things because that's part of Daniel's case. If these things hadn't been tested or done, we'll never find out who or what happened to Daniel. And so that's a lot of pressure. So the thing I had was to put the search together, get that done, get new leads, try to sell it to the news media. Oh, I'm starting another search. I'll be out there following this lead. I thought that was going to catch it. It didn't catch that. They didn't catch the fact that I had a new lead. The search is based on a new lead. They also didn't catch the fact that I was saying on live like this that I was going out there to get in law enforcement face. You guys probably remember this when I asked you guys for funding. They get in their face because 2 things can happen when you, and I say this to families who listen to me now. It's easy to be on the phone call and talk to law enforcement. And I say it all the time. This is the way I do it. I have to play this out. Buckeye, y'all find the thing about Daniel yet? Y'all out there searching for my son? And this is how I imagine Detective Biffin at the time. Yeah, we out here right now looking for your son. We're not finding anything, That's the way I see it in my brain, right? So unless I'm right there physically looking in your eyes and talking to you as a person, I don't feel like nothing get accomplished. And it don't, because I'm telling you how I know this. Because everything that happened in Daniel's case, they finding about the information on the vehicle, the flyers all over Arizona, the billboards, I'll just take it back. The activeness on law enforcement, the searches they did, right? When they came out to the well and did a half behind search of that well, to everything to the Maricopa County. They had my team because I had to leave town, and they had my team, the A team, had them in the situation room in Maricopa County on a search that I forced them to do because they were scared I was going to put a protest on them. All that was because you guys helped me put my boots on the ground, like I was saying. I stayed out there all that time, had a small 1-bedroom apartment while maintaining stuff still in South Carolina. And being able to do all of their searches, city searches, and all the stuff I just named. But I was always in their face, right? Always in their face. And when I was in their face, they actually move a little bit. But I promise you guys, from time I had to end up leaving because of funding and come back to South Carolina, and they haven't moved the muscle. When I say move the muscle, haven't heard of new searches outside of me being out of Arizona. Not one search, not one anything. So that told me when I was there making the search up for you guys for this lead on April the 12th, I had to make this money count. This funding that you guys helped me with, I had to make it count. I mean, I'm going out here for the searches. I planned it all out. Going out here for the searches, get this lead that's really promising to me because my son is out there on that ground. I'm getting them. And then I had to get law enforcement because of another lead, and I can tell you what it is because I didn't put it in public at the time, but I can now. Somebody shot up a tree real close to where this vehicle was found. And the lead was that there was a tip came in about that tree. They believe that somebody could have shot Daniel up against this tree because of the ropes and all the stuff that we found near the scene. But to make a long story short, I had law enforcement, and I asked them since November to go out here. I told them I'm gonna give them the location because I wanted to be there. I didn't give it to them at the time. I didn't trust Buckeye. I said, when the time comes, when I get the search together, because I need to be there to watch with my own eyes, law enforcement, I have to watch law enforcement and make sure y'all actually going out here and do this. When I get there, I'll tell you the location then. And if Detective Adams can tell you the truth, he'll tell you I waited until I was on the way to Arizona before I gave them the information of that location, that ping location. So long story short, because I need to be there to make sure they did it. So I put all this in my mind. I get the searches going. I want to be there in Arizona with my boots back on the ground. Because when I get my boots on the ground, I get them to make sure they're doing the search the proper way. I make sure I'm there for the search. But the other part is I'm in his office. And Detective Alvin will tell you, I was in his office, me and my buddy again, Mr. Farmer. And we was able to sit down with the detective and run over Dane's entire case. And Detective Adam, to his credit, gave me that floor to be able to do a little bit of criticism of them, but at the same time, tell them what they can do better and what I needed and why I was there. And then he kind of said, well, we can do this and blah, blah. He gave me the promises, but he made it sound like we can do it like a later time. I said, no. You don't understand this, man. I'm here until after the search. My flight leave on Sunday. I don't have the funding like that. Once the search is over on that Saturday, I'll be gone Sunday. So whatever you're doing, I need it to happen before I leave here. And it happened. It happened because I was in their face. So that's what I'm saying. Every time I ask you guys for things like that, I need to be in their face. That's who I am as a person. I'm a person that's face to face because I know action can happen. Not there. You hope that people have integrity about things, and you hope for wishful. But for me, I had to see it with my own eyes. I've seen too much stuff, and when a person shows you the first time certain things, you got to believe them, like Maya Angelou would say. And so when I saw things with the Buckeye Police Department and the things I do know about them, you can say what you want to say to me. I have to see it. Now, the other part of this update you guys need to know, and I'm saying all this first, and then I'm gonna go back and say the criticism I felt about the media. Again, that was the 50th search, April 12th. I was out there in the desert with the volunteers, was able to cover a lot of ground, but I also was in that office with the Buckeye Police Department and got them to do a custody transfer with me, with promises. The promises is to do the full workup of that Jeep Renegade, do a forensic workup of the Jeep Renegade. That means test these airbags, fully process that vehicle like it's supposed to, find out where the rear transfer paint come from, all that kind of stuff, right? Now, the other part is for the clothing. They pushing this clothing on me and my family saying, yeah, Dan's clothing was found on the scene. We don't recognize the clothing. We want to find out who clothing was. We want to find out, get that process properly. There's everything I told you guys for, to go back over to examine, to take into account what the Tempe Police Department found when it comes to somebody utilizing his home computer after he went missing. And also the fact that all the hard work we did in the desert, you and I, the volunteers, and we found these the cell phones in proximity to Daniel's vehicle here, they need to be processed properly too. See if that's in relations to Daniel, and then also can yield answers for other families. So that's part of the deal too. Now I can't tell you update to that. That should have been something that was spoken about. But I can't tell you the update to that. is the fact that I did talk to Detective Adams. Okay, I gave him a whole week. It was itching me. I gave him I think about 2 weeks. And they hit him back up, and he says, well, no, I just hold on to that because that's something I want to keep for a second because I need to. And I like what somebody put up here, Jim. Thank you again. You put provides rapid DNA test. I'm assuming you're going with. You're speaking of someone. Yeah, but I'd like to get all the information you have. But you said something about rapid testing. Also in that meeting, I was able because I have a relationship with the colonel, I think you want to call him, the guy who over the Department of Public Safety in Arizona, and Glover is his name, and he told me that if Daniel things are being processed, it need to be done by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. That's why you guys knew I was pushing so hard to get his case moved over to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. But they need to process it because they have that rapid DNA testing center that they had just got during that time a couple years ago. And because if they would go to DPS, they have such a backlog, it take years. So I was able to get them also to agree to do that with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, the rapid testing. So what would happen was after the meeting the next day, we set up where my secretary, the Daniel Ross Foundation, and I went to meet with the Buckeye Police Department at the storage facilities facility to get Daniel's forensic items, and also the location of where the Jeep was located. But to this date, as far as I understand, they did not take custody of the Jeep. But I can say they took custody of everything. We signed over videotape, record, audio record, whatever the case may be. And I can give Buckeye credit, Detective Adams. He was wearing a body cam, and I saw the blinking, both of the guys, to do this transfer in the parking lot of public storage. So I was able to give them that stuff to hopefully get processed properly. And when I say hopefully, they did something, and I want to put out just yet because I have some details with that I have to make sure. I was waiting on. I talked with him. We had a briefing about certain things, but I'm waiting on him to catch on who I am as a man and who I am as a father, because what he told me, I'm giving him an opportunity to correct himself before I go. How I want to put it, public or also over their heads in a sense. But anyway, I got some things I need to do. But anyway, just want to say thank you guys for just listening on all of that. But the bottom line when it comes to the media, to circle back to the media, is that, like Mr. Petito said, he didn't want it to be about his daughter for this event because he thought it was more important as a friend to come in the capacity of a friend to be out there in that desert with me, right? Because he said you want to always, come out there to one of the searches. And so when he came, the thing that hurted me the most was I was happy he was there, and I want to put that out again. Happy he was there, really needed him out there, and I'm grateful because as a little part of me, the catch two to that was because he was coming and he did catch wind of it, it was going to bring cameras. Because I said to myself, I wonder if he didn't say he was coming or he didn't ask me at all, would anybody would have came out into the desert to film about Daniel's 50th desert search out there. And so, like I said, it didn't dawn on me there was a 50th search until I actually did the safety briefing. And I said, wait a minute, because I couldn't say 49 anymore. I said 50th. Okay, 50. Wow, it's 50th search. And then I had over 60, and the reporters would say 80 because they count 80 people out there on that search, and we got a lot covered. But what I'm saying is, and then not including the Buckeye Police Department and also the Arizona Rangers that I had in two different locations. But the storyline was the whole weekend was Gabriel Tito's father joined the search of the Robinson family, right? Or the Tito father, how they put it, helping families, but the bottom line wasn't that what I thought was important and needed to be out there was the fact that I had a new lead. And it was about this elderly couple who saw something and we was out there for the search, hopefully get answers. I didn't hear that is the 50th search, and we have all these volunteers, these loving people who decided to take their Saturday off after all this time, because you can find a lot of people. And I can tell you this, guys. I even had a family member ask a question, so I know there's a lot of people out there right now say, "Why don't you just give up, man? Why don't you just move on?" Or whatever the case may be. I don't know, and I'm not assuming everything, but I can assume some people would say that, and it wouldn't even come out to a search, right? But think about it: 60 to 80 people showed up on a 50th search for my son, right? To help me go search for my son, and so I think that's significant. I think that was really big, and I think that was really huge, right? But I didn't really see it that way. It wasn't portrayed that way. The other fact is, I sat down in the office and I really pleaded with law enforcement and let them know how important it was for me to get all the stuff I asked for, the demands I asked for, done in 1 week before I got up out of Arizona. Because I felt like, who knows? I don't know if anybody going to help me out again, or people want to continue to donate or whatever they want to do for me to be able to continue to fight. I don't know. Ever since then, from day one, I played this thing on limb by faith. And so the thing is, I don't know what's going to happen. So to me, this is the last time. I need to make sure. That's why somebody asked me in the search, like, you're going to have more searches. I said it to the volunteer, like, as far as I know, this could be the last search. I don't have any plans because I want to know how much I can really keep going. I don't know how I can keep the funding going, or whatever the case may be. All of that comes into play. But nobody put on the media to say he was in the office, he was able to convince law enforcement to take custody of these things, and finally do all the stuff that he was asking for almost 3 years of asking for that, but 4 years of the whole entire thing with my son. So that's big news, right? So that's what I was looking for that weekend, and they didn't get it, even despite of, but I was able to get some news footage that it was a search out there somewhat, but those are things that needed to be highlighted in my son's case that will put pressure on law enforcement to say, oh, the world know that you have Daniel's things. The world know that you need to process this thing properly and process it like you say you're going to do. The world know that you need to do the things you say you're going to do, or, the world would be writing these letters. They'll be coming out to asking these questions. We'll be looking to try to get you guys investigated, whatever the case may be. So that's what was important to me, despite of the fact that I was really grateful that my brother came out there. I think that the whole bigger line of the story should be it was a 50th search for geologist Daniel Robinson with dedicated volunteers. It was it was based on the tip from an elderly couple that brought the family back out here to this desert. It's also the fact that the people was donating to help Mr. Robinson put his boots back on the ground to engage with law enforcement, which it caused them to agree to do full forensics on everything. And it did. And the crazy part, almost 4 years later, law enforcement have all these things back in their possession again to do a full workup. So that's big news to me. That's the update that these news organizations keep knocking on the door. Every time I go knock on the door, try to get them to put Daniel's story back out, say we need new updates, new leads, new this, that, whatever. And then it didn't happen. So I felt a certain way in that behalf, because I know the importance of keeping your loved one's story out there, and I fight for it. But anyway, that was what I want to tell you guys. And when it comes to that, I don't see no more questions on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere else. So thank you guys for watching us, being with me on this live. Again, I'll be doing several lives. Please visit pleasehelpfinddaniel.com if you can help me out. get this Candlelight Vigil going. I really appreciate it. Donations are welcome. Please help FindDaniel.com donations, but you also can go to the store and get the t-shirts that would go towards a donation towards me putting this thing together. So I really appreciate it. I need your help. I really appreciate it. God bless you. And I will see you guys on, I guess, next live. So take care of yourself, be blessed, and hug your loved ones really close and tell them you love them as much as you can. God bless.